Chapter 1808. This was the first time Xiao Jin didn't push her to Xishang Lan. If in the past you treated Xiao Yi sincerely, I'm willing to hand Xiao Yi over to you. Xiao Jin's weak voice sounded as though he was barely breathing. He took a deep breath and continued. But now, I can confirm that Xiao Yi will not be happy if she follows you. I will not take Xiao Yi's happiness and bury it in your hands. Saying that, Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yin Xiao Yi's waist. Even though there was a thin layer of clothing between them, Yin Xiao Yi could still clearly feel the boiling temperature from Xiao Jin's palm. Her red lips pursed slightly as her eyelids drooped down as she slowly leaned her head on Xiao Jin's shoulder. Xiao Jin's arms tightened as his ordinary and invincible face was filled with determination. Xishang Lan, no matter what, I will not hand Xiao Yi over to you. His words had just ended. The gold coin darts in Xiao Jin's hands were like scattered flowers as they shot towards Xishang Lan's direction. At the same time, Yin Xiao Yi, who was leaning on Xiao Jin's shoulder, also flipped over as the black sickle blade in her hands slashed downwards. Xishang Lan's reaction was swift as he immediately flipped over to avoid Xiao Jin's attack. But those 10 overnight walkers weren't that lucky. The gold coin darts made a few whooshing sounds as they sank into their vitals. Even if there were night walkers who were lucky enough to avoid the gold coin darts. The next moment, it was Yin Xiao Yi's black sickle blade. In just a moment, the entire secret room was dyed red with blood. Go! Xiao Jin shouted in a low voice. Yin Xiao Yi kept her black sickle blade as her petite body suddenly stuffed into Xiao Jin's arms. Xiao Jin tightened his arms as he followed the gold coin darts, which opened up a path as his footsteps expanded. Yiqing Luo's set of footwork immediately made Xiao Jin's figure move strangely as he dashed towards the secret room's entrance. Xiao Jin kicked the door open as he speedily stepped out. Outside the secret room was a dim and long tunnel. Looking over, it was a patch of gray as nothing could be seen clearly. Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi didn't have a chance to think carefully. They could only choose to dash forward. Chase! The 5 night walkers who were still alive held their machetes as they shouted in anger. When a few of them dashed to the entrance, Xishang Lan calmly said, "No need to chase. Young master." These brothers were the ones they had trained with since they were young and had gone through life and death situations together. He could only watch helplessly as his brothers died in front of him. How could they not avenge their brothers? They have nowhere to run. Xishang Lan narrowed his gentle eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into an extremely faint smile. That smile was filled with coldness, like frost. The anger on the faces of the 5 night walkers slowly faded away. Xiao Jin hugged Yin Xiao Yi and fled to the back of the passageway. He didn't hear any footsteps behind him. Xiao Jinkai released Yin Xiao Yi's waist. When the warmth around her waist disappeared, Yin Xiao Yi felt a sense of discomfort. Her body tensed up as she awkwardly averted her gaze and took a few quick steps forward. Xiao Jin didn't say anything and followed behind her. The two of them were silent for a moment. The atmosphere was inexplicably strange. Yin Xiao Yi couldn't stop her heart from beating violently. She pursed her lips and decided to break the deadlock first. Do you know what this place is? Xishang Lan and the others actually didn't catch up. I feel, logically speaking, it was absolutely impossible for Xishang Lan to let them escape. Otherwise, he would lose the bargaining chip to threaten Yiqing Luo. One must know that Yiqing Luo had an overlord following beside her. Chapter 1809. There must be a trap somewhere. Xiao Jin's gaze swept the surroundings and slowly followed behind Yin Xiao Yi, saying in a deep voice, "This is the underground passageway of the treasure-gathering pavilion." Treasure-gathering pavilion? Yin Xiao Yi turned back in astonishment. What is the relationship between Xishang Lan and Zhu Bao Pavilion? Xiao Jin shook his head. I'm not sure. However, since Xishang Lan dared to attack you in the territory of Treasure Gathering Pavilion and clearly knew about the underground passageway of Treasure Gathering Pavilion, he definitely has a close relationship with Treasure Gathering Pavilion. Pausing for a moment, Xiao Jin's expression became somewhat solemn. I guess that Shi Shanglan is very likely one of the external forces of Treasure Gathering Pavilion. They were the same as the Shi family. Yin Xiaoyi's expression instantly turned solemn. She clenched her fists and was slightly annoyed with herself. Why didn't she investigate Shi Shanglan's identity before this? On the contrary, Shi Shanglan had investigated everything about her clearly. Let's leave the tunnel first. Be careful. There might be assassins lying in ambush at the exit of the tunnel waiting for us. Xiao Jin glanced at Yin Xiaoyi and knew what she was thinking. Yin Xiaoyi responded with a soften. After taking a few steps, she bit her lower lip. Seemingly hesitating for a long time, she turned her head to look at Xiao Jin. How are your injuries? The poison has already been neutralized. This is just a flesh wound. It's not a big deal, Xiao Jin replied indifferently. Oh, Yin Xiaoyi said softly and turned her head away. She didn't continue asking. As mentioned before, each of them had 100 solutions pill on them. Xiao Jin gave Yin Xiaoyi his 100 solutions pill. And just now, Yin Xiaoyi had fed Xiao Jin that 100 solutions pill, just as Shi Shanglan mentioned, asking Yin Xiaoyi to leave with him. Yin Xiaoyi took the opportunity to feed the 100 solutions pill into Xiao Jin's mouth. After that, Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yin Xiaoyi's waist, telling her that the poison in his body had already been cured. After living together for a few years, the tacit understanding between the two of them had reached a point where there was no need for any verbal communication. One look, one movement, they would be able to work together flawlessly. Yin Xiaoyi's mind was filled with random thoughts. Suddenly, a series of orderly footsteps came from the tunnel ahead. The two of them halted their steps. Someone was there. There was someone in the secret passage. Had Shi Shanglan's men caught up? Go. Let's go first. Xiao Jin pulled Yin Xiaoyi's hand. His broad palm wrapped around Yin Xiaoyi's hand. The two of them turned around and walked back in the direction they had just come from. However, he had only run a few steps. Another wave of orderly footsteps could be heard. There were people at the front and back of the passageway. No matter where they ran, they would die. Yin Xiaoyi looked left and right. What should we do? Can you still fight? Xiao Jin tightened his grip on Yin Xiaoyi's hand, his tone inexplicably strange. Yin Xiaoyi didn't think too much about it. All her attention was on their tightly clasped hands. She nodded and said in a trembling voice, I can still, Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin suddenly called out her name with a serious expression, his voice slightly grave. Yin Xiaoyi raised her head in surprise and looked at Xiao Jin. The dim light illuminated the solemn expression on Xiao Jin's face. Yin Xiaoyi could not help but be solemn and straighten her back. If, Xiao Jin's voice was a little gloomy. The Overlord and Qing Luo are not able to rush over in time. I will protect you, even if I have to sacrifice everything. His last few words were spoken in an extremely soft voice. Yin Xiaoyi could only vaguely hear something about sacrifice, something about everything. But it was merely these few indistinct words. Chapter 1810. He didn't love her. Why would he spend so much effort to protect her? He even blocked a fatal knife for her. Was it because they had been brothers for so many years? But why was it that she could see such deep feelings in Xiao Jin's eyes? Such feelings really didn't seem like the so-called brotherly love. Don't be in a daze. Xiao Jin pulled Yin Xiaoyi's wrist tightly, suddenly exerting force, pulling her into his embrace. Yin Xiaoyi was startled, her body slightly stiffening. Immediately, the man's warm lips were already pressed against her ear. His low and hoarse voice had a few unique magnetism. Xiaoyi, if we can leave Jubao Pavilion alive today, I have something to say to you. Yin Xiaoyi was startled again, raising her head in a daze, her eyes filled with confusion. She was about to ask Xiao Jin about the meaning of his words. But at this moment, Xiao Jin released her delicate body, only grabbing her hand and fiercely pulling her forward. Let's go. As he turned around, Xiao Jin's face was already flushed. Yin Xiao Yi was still in a daze, her mind filled with Xiao Jin's words. She hadn't finished digesting it. Her body suddenly fell forward. Yin Xiao Yi was unable to stabilize her body, suddenly falling forward. Xiao Jin's reaction was swift, his arms slightly exerting force, pulling Yin Xiao Yi into his embrace. This kind of force caused the two of them to be unable to stabilize their bodies. Xiao Jin's body heavily crashed into the wall at the side. Yin Xiao Yi's entire body was completely wrapped in Xiao Jin's embrace. She wasn't injured at all. When she heard the sound of a man drawing in a breath of cold air from beside her ear, Yin Xiao Yi's heart panicked. She hadn't even opened her mouth to speak. Only a clear creak sound was heard. The wall that Xiao Jin's back had crashed in suddenly split open into a huge hole. Xiao Jin lost the support of his strength, his body falling into the hole. Together with Yin Xiao Yi, who was in his embrace, they both fell into the hole. Gotcha! Just as the two of them fell into the hole, the wall closed again. The ground inside this hole was a steep slope that slid downwards. Xiao Jin's body had just fallen onto the ground. Like a top, he directly rolled forward a few rounds. Xiao Jin immediately tightened his arms, doing his best to protect Yin Xiao Yi. After about a dozen laps, Xiao Jin's back fiercely collided with something ice-cold. It stopped the two of them from tumbling down. Following Little Nine's presence, Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo quickly found the underground secret room in Treasure Pavilion. However, there was no one left in the secret room. Yiqing Luo looked at the fresh blood on the ground and the obvious poisonous gas in the air. Her slender brows creased slightly. She stroked Little Nine, who had leapt in her arms, and looked towards Dmo Xian. Ah, Xian, there's indeed Xiao Yi and Jin Zi's aura here, and the aura is rather faint. They should have left the secret room for at least one incense stick of time. The blood on the ground isn't theirs. Dmo Xian narrowed his long and narrow peach blossom eyes. They should have escaped. Let's find them first. There was only one passageway leading to the secret chamber. They had just walked all the way from the tunnel to the secret room. No one was sighing. If Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi escaped from the secret chamber, in this situation where there was only one path, it was impossible to escape. There was only one answer. This was a passageway or a secret room. There were other exits, or other secret passageways. Little Nine, have you remembered the smell of West Shanglan? Yiqing Luo lowered her head and looked at Little Nine, who was in her arms. Little Nine raised its head, and its sharp fox mouth gave off a soft moan. Chapter 1811. Yiqing Luo's eyes shone. Little Nine, lead the way. Once we find Shishanglan, we will be able to find Jin Zi and Xiao Yi. Little Nine leapt down from Yiqing Luo's arms. The two of them followed behind Little Nine and soon stopped at a wall in the passageway. Yiqing Luo held the luminous pearl in her hand, and her half-squinted eyes suddenly fixed on a certain spot on the wall. She leaned closer, and her fingertips touched the wall. Jin Zi's blood. Her expression sunk slightly. This blood was sticky. Apparently, it had just been printed not long ago. Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao, you should be nearby. Jin Zi is poisoned. Yiqing Luo was very sensitive towards poisonous gas, and very quickly she sniffed out the faint poisonous gas in the blood. Although it was very faint, but this smell had already automatically broken down in Yiqing Luo's mind through the 100 refining pill. Luckily, she had foresight. When she was refining the pills, she had given each of them 100 refining pill to be able to escape from the secret room and escape to the passageway. They should be fine for now. She must find them immediately. Suddenly, Yiqing Luo's petite body suddenly stiffened as the expression on her face revealed a sliver of disbelief. What's the matter? Dmo Xian sensed Yiqing Luo's reaction. Yiqing Luo looked at the blood on her fingers. This poison is not Nirvana Realm's poison. The medicinal herb composition, which was analyzed by the 100 refining pill, could not possibly be wrong. The 100 refining pill clearly told her about it. This poison was known as the parting calamity pill. As the name suggested, after being tainted within a short 1 hour, the life star would perish. This was an extremely vicious poison, and the medicinal herbs used to refine this poison could not be found in Nirvana realm. At least, Yiqing Luo had never seen or heard of the medicinal herbs used to refine it. If it's not Nirvana realm's poison, could it be? Dmo Xian's expression suddenly congealed. Do you know the name of the poison which Xiao Jin was inflicted with? Parting calamity pill. Yiqing Luo replied. Do you know the source of this poison? Parting calamity pill. Dmo Xian repeated these 3 words as his gaze dimmed. Lil Luo, if my guess is right. This matter, I'm afraid, might be a little tricky. Some forces outside the Nirvana realm have intervened in this matter. Yiqing Luo quickly came to a conclusion. As far as she knew, the Nirvana realm was one of the lowest realms in this vast space. Except for the upper realm, there were also the various powers outside the 3 realms. For example, the dark forces. Compared to the Nirvana realm, those forces were all outstanding existences. Apart from an underground organization, there were actually other forces that had extended their claws to the Nirvana realm. Why does it feel like the current Nirvana realm was becoming more and more chaotic? Remember, stay close. Dmo Xian suddenly stretched out his long arm and clasped Yiqing Luo's waist tightly. This sentence, remember it. Yes, 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 I will definitely not leave you. Yiqing Luo hugged his waist. With a big Buddha like you around, even if other forces were to intervene, I'm not worried at all. Dmo Xian rubbed her head and pressed down hard as if he was threatening her. Yiqing Luo raised her hand and grabbed the mischievous hand on her head as she lightly patted the back of his hand. All right, now you know the seriousness of this matter. Let's first find Jin Zi and Xiao. Following that, she shot her gaze towards Little Nine. Little Nine, why aren't we moving? Little Nine squatted on the ground, and if it had transformed into a small fox, swinging its 9 tails, looked extremely adorable. Chapter 1812. The smell stopped. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances. It's impossible for the scent to stop midway, unless he disappeared here. Yiqing Luo looked at the direction of the blood stains on the wall. Suddenly, he exerted force and pushed against the wall. Kacha! A sound was heard. A hole suddenly appeared in the wall. There really is a secret passage. Yiqing Luo frowned. Dmo Xian's gaze swept across the dark passage. Follow me closely. He took the lead to enter the cave, and after ascertaining the safety inside, he stretched out his hand towards Yiqing Luo. Give me your hand. This man, he really took care of her meticulously. Stretching her hand into Dmo Xian's palm, she bent down and followed into the secret passage. Just as the tunnel was about to close up, a slender figure walked out from the darkness. The brown luxurious robe was warm and elegant. Wasn't it Xishang Lan? Behind him was the skinny old man called Wu Sha. Young master, they have already entered the soulless formation. Our plan will succeed soon. Wu Sha's face was filled with joy as he congratulated Xishang Lan sincerely. Xishang Lan's smile did not diminish. It was still warm. Wu Sha suddenly thought of something, and a worried look appeared on his face. But Overlord followed him into the godless formation. I'm worried. With Overlord's strength, he might... Impudent. Xishang Lan's smile froze, and he berated in a stern voice. He turned around and slapped Wu Sha's face. That gentle face was covered with a layer of greed and malevolence. The godless array formation is the strongest array formation of our godless island. Even if the people from the upper realm came, they would not be able to break through the godless array formation. What does 1D Imo Shin amount to? Wu Sha lowered his head. His tiny eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a trace of sinister treachery. Xishang Lan looked coldly in the direction of the secret tunnel and snorted. Now we just have to wait for the prey to fall into the trap. Yes, young master. Wu Sha answered obediently. The two of them slowly walked to the wall and gently pressed it. The entrance of the secret passage was wide open, and the two of them stepped into it one after the other. Yiqing Luo held Dmo Xian's hand tightly as the luminous pearl illuminated everything in the secret passage clearly. The two of them walked extremely slowly on the steep slope. Yiqing Luo discovered Xiao Jin's bloodstains on the ground once again. Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao indeed entered this secret passage. Just what kind of place was this treasure-gathering pavilion? It was an underground tunnel with a hidden passage. They walked all the way to the bottom of the slope. There was no other way out. Although it was said that there was no way out, it was actually not that there was no way out. In front of him, he was blocked by a stone wall that could fit a person. The stone wall was covered with a layer of white light. The white light completely enveloped the stone wall. But when Yiqing Luo touched it, it was a real stone wall. What's going on? Yiqing Luo withdrew her hand and looked at Dmo Xian in puzzlement. Xiao Jin's bloodstains also disappeared beside this stone wall. She was sure. Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao had entered this secret passage before, and now they didn't see Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao, which meant that there must be a path to head towards here. This stone wall, which was emitting white light, should be the key. Dmo Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes as he carefully sized up this stone wall. In his subconscious, he sensed an ominous premonition. The stone wall in front of him gave him an extremely uneasy feeling. But seeing Yiqing Luo's worry towards Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao. Chapter 1813. He was clearer than anyone else about Yiqing Luo's character. If you were to let Yiqing Luo leave now, or use forceful methods to bring her away, it would only attract a bigger backlash from Yiqing Luo. Although Yiqing Luo wouldn't get into a conflict with him because of his brother's matters. But to put her in a difficult position and make her sad, he couldn't do it. The girl he fell in love with was loyal and affectionate. It was absolutely not to protect his own life, but to give up the chance to save his brother. Dmo Xian stretched out his hand and held Yiqing Luo's little hand tightly. His obsidian-like peach blossom eyes gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo's face. He lowered his head, and his lips gently landed on her forehead. The scorching breath was a little heavy. She understood Dmo Xian, just like how Dmo Xian understood her. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the strong pressure emitted from Dmo Xian. Her heart trembled slightly as a sense of uneasiness arose from the bottom of her heart. This place was very dangerous. Dmo Xian had already sensed the danger here. To be able to make Dmo Xian feel the danger and become serious, it was enough to prove that the hidden danger in this secret tunnel was beyond her imagination. Even Dmo Xian felt the danger. Then wouldn't Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao be? Don't be afraid. I'm here. Dmo Xian's gentle kiss gently rubbed against her disgust. His slender fingers clasped her little hand tightly. 10 fingers intertwined. His warm breath sprayed onto her face. He firmly and gently repeated, "I will bring the 3 of you back safely." Yiqing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. Her slightly creased brows were smoothed by his gentle lips. His firm voice made her uneasy heart gradually calm down. She stretched out her hand and looped it around his firm waist. Her elegant voice was filled with emotions. "Ah Xian, I know that this request is very capricious, but to give up on saving them and leave with you alone, I really can't do it." She buried her head into his arms. "I've understood a logic since young. Living in this world, only oneself is the most reliable. No matter what, I'm used to relying on my own strength to achieve whatever goals I want to achieve and have never thought of relying on anyone." She paused for a moment. Following that, she raised her head and fixed her gaze on Dmo Xian. "But ever since I met Ah Xian, I'm getting more and more used to relying on you. As long as you're around, I'm not afraid of anything, and I'm full of confidence in everything." A warm smile appeared on her face. A bright smile bloomed at the corner of her mouth. "Ah Xian, promise me, not only will I, Xiao Yi, and Jinzi be safe, you must be safe as well." The tenderness in the young lady's gaze made Dmo Xian's heart flutter. He clasped Yi Qing Luo's lower jaw as he lowered his head and kissed her pink lips. This kiss was gentle with a bit of roughness, deeply absorbing the sweetness in Yi Qing Luo's mouth. This kiss, Yi Qing Luo's hands tightly circled around his waist as her body turned soft. Dmo Xian released her lips, and his breathing was heavy. The rest will go back and ask for it. She panted, and with a weak and soft voice, she softly spat out a word. All right. Dmo Xian held her tightly. After a while, when Yi Qing Luo's consciousness recovered, Dmo Xian was about to release his profound qi to forcefully enter the stone wall, which was enveloped in white light. Suddenly, a gentle laughter came from afar. Ha ha ha. Even at death's door, you're still so affectionate. You're really worthy of being the overlord and the rumored heroine. When the voice entered her ears, Yi Qing Luo's slightly blurred eyes suddenly became clear. Chapter 1814. Xishanglan. When Yi Qing Luo saw who it was, her gaze turned piercingly cold. Where are Jinzi and Xiao Yi? Xishanglan smiled warmly. Qing Luo, don't be so anxious. He was smiling. His smile was as gentle as usual. Yi Qing Luo's eyes sunk slightly. Xishanglan, there are no outsiders here and no devil classes students. You don't need to put on an act in front of me. Xishanglan's smile. It made Yi Qing Luo's brows crease tightly. She hated Xishanglan's smile, and hated Xishanglan's smile. It was this gentle gentleman's mask, attracting the group of youths in devil class who were ignorant of the ways of the world, deceiving the feelings of devil class's students. Yeah, I thought my disguise was flawless. Xishanglan pretended to be surprised as his eyes were filled with a gentle smile. I've been wearing this mask for so long. I almost thought that I have such a character. Speaking of this, as long as I use this face, this mask, I can easily play those brothers of yours in the palm of my hand. He touched his own face as his smile became even gentler. This face is rather useful. Yi Qing Luo's brows tightened. He didn't say this matter was good. The moment he said it, Yi Qing Luo had the urge to beat him up, as though he sensed the change in Yi Qing Luo's emotions. Xishanglan's gentle smile deepened. Since Qing Luo had already seen through my disguise, based on Qing Luo's position in that bunch of fools' hearts, they should choose to believe you. Isn't that so? These words were said in a weird tone, filled with insolence. Apparently, the meaning behind Xishanglan's words. He was ridiculing Yi Qing Luo that she wasn't as popular as she thought she was. He was ridiculing that even if she really told those youngsters in devil class about his suspicions, those people might not trust her. He was flaunting his position in the hearts of devil class's students. Even if she was Yi Qing Luo, the mental pillar of devil class. Wasn't Yin Xiao Yi a living example? Yi Qing Luo's brows turned slightly cold. Her eyes were filled with a vicious aura. She wasn't angry about what Xishanglan said. Devil class's students wouldn't trust her or something. It was the word fool that Xishanglan said. Xishanglan saw Yi Qing Luo's expression turning gloomier and gloomier. An insolent smile that was completely different from the gentle, jade-like smile appeared on his face. However, in the next instant, suddenly, a slap landed on his face. Pa! The crisp sound of the slap was extremely loud in the quiet secret passage, and it even echoed in the air. A bright red palm print appeared on Xishanglan's pale face. The burning pain caused Xishanglan to open his mouth and curse loudly. Even his muscles were in extreme pain. How dare you? Wu Sha finally reacted and leaped in front of Xishanglan. But he discovered that Yi Qing Luo had already returned to Dmo Xian's side. It was as if he hadn't moved at all. But Yi Qing Luo's waving hand and her pitiful look towards Dmo Xian had exposed the fact that she had slapped Xishanglan earlier. Ah Xian, he's so thick-skinned. My hand hurts. Dmo Xian held her little hand and gently caressed it. I help you peel off his face. Yi Qing Luo smiled brightly as she nodded her head vigorously. A crack appeared on Shishang Lan's gentle mask. Chapter 1815. Yiqing Luo curled her lips and smiled. No, I'm only warning you once. If you dare to verbally abuse my brother, the next time, it won't be as simple as a slap. You. Shishang Lan grimaced in pain. Blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. It could be seen how much strength Yiqing Luo had used in that slap earlier. He was right. Yiqing Luo had used her real strength. There was not the slightest bit of profound qi mixed in. This kind of slap was a bone-piercing pain. Don't get too full of yourself. The students of Devil Class are just too young and don't know how sinister the human heart is. But it doesn't mean that just because you treat them a little better, they will repay you wholeheartedly. I won't tell them that my suspicion of you isn't because I'm afraid that they'll stand on your side, not trust me, or have a conflict with me. But I'm just using you to tell those young kids in Devil Class. What is called a human heart is unpredictable. What is called a human heart is sinister. Humans had to experience pain and fall once before they would learn from their mistakes. Moreover, people needed to experience some things for themselves to understand some principles. Since Shishang Lan wanted to make use of the students of the Devil Class, then Shishang Lan would make use of him. Once Shishang Lan's true colors were exposed, these students would understand that not everyone was trustworthy. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Shishang Lan only felt that his pride had been ruthlessly trampled on. He had always thought that his plan was flawless. No one could see through his acting skills. He used his gentleness to surround those who trusted him wholeheartedly. Then he would make use of those idiots whom Yiqing Luo valued to deal with her. But when he realized that all his assumptions were just self-righteous, the pride in Shishang Lan's heart was shattered. He clenched his fists, suppressing the anger surging in his chest. He knew Yiqing Luo's ability. He also knew how powerful Dmo Xian was. Appearing here was merely to see Yiqing Luo pleading bitterly because Qiao Jin and Yin Xiao were in his hands. But he had not expected that he was so infuriated by Yiqing Luo that he almost threw up blood. Shishang Lan clenched his fist. He had always been good at scheming. He had always been able to calculate everything in an orderly manner. There was no way he would lose to a 15-year-old girl. Yiqing Luo, you have the time to bicker with me, but I think your two brothers probably don't have that much time to wait for you. Shishang Lan raised his hand to wipe off the blood on the corner of his lips as he stared coldly at Yiqing Luo, sneering endlessly. As expected, Yiqing Luo's face sunk. Shishang Lan, I don't care who you are or whether the force behind you is from outside the Nirvana realm. I only want to tell you one thing. Her eyes were filled with a piercingly cold light. If Xiao Yi and Jin Zi are heavily injured, I will uproot you and the power behind you. She enunciated each and every word clearly. The viciousness in her eyes was very obvious. That gaze caused Shishang Lan's heart to contract. Not waiting for him to retaliate, Yiqing Luo's extremely cold voice was heard once again. Don't doubt whether I have that ability or not. I have a way to exterminate the dark forces. You, Shishang Lan, I can do the same. After finishing this sentence, Yiqing Luo no longer had the intention to tangle with Shishang Lan. She didn't need to find out the whereabouts of Yin, Xiao, Yi, and Qiao Jin from Shishang Lan. Chapter 1816. Shishang Lan was right about one thing. Qiao Jin and Yin Xiao, he probably didn't have time to wait for her. She couldn't waste any more time on a useless Shishang Lan. Dmo Xian unleashed his profound energy. Their fingers intertwined. The white glow instantly enveloped the both of them. Immediately following that, Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo stepped into the stone wall. Slut! Shishang Lan stared at the stone wall viciously as he clenched his fists tightly. This young patriarch wants to see what ability you have after entering the godless array to destroy this young patriarch's forces. Wu Sha shot a glance at his young patriarch, who was in a frenzy, and immediately lowered his head. The expression on his face was somewhat solemn. His young master could be said to be resourceful and shrewd. But why was it that in front of Yiqing Luo, he was so easily angered? And what made Wu Sha even more shocked was, that was Yiqing Luo's ability. Recalling the last time, which was when Yiqing Luo just entered Heavenly Academy, the three of them were in Heavenly Academy's backyard, trying to snatch Yiqing Luo's profound phoenix ring. Yiqing Luo's profound grade was obviously extremely low. The last time they failed in Yiqing Luo's hands. That was because they didn't know Yiqing Luo well, hence they didn't know about her martial arts and strange movements. And they felt another person's presence. Thinking of that person, a strange expression appeared on Wu Sha's face, but it quickly returned to normal. And this time around, when Yiqing Luo slapped Shi Shanglan, he hadn't reacted in time. Yiqing Luo had already completed her action and returned to her original position. It could be seen that this young lady who could use her own ability to seal the King of Darkness's consciousness completely. It wasn't just because of good luck. The uneasiness in Wu Sha's heart was magnified once again. After passing through the stone wall, Yiqing Luo's pupils suddenly widened. Because the scene in front of her eyes, she didn't know how to describe her feelings right now. In front of her was a stretch of tall buildings, people, and cars. Her ears were ringing with various car horns which she hadn't heard for a long, long time. She was now standing in the 21st century. The era which belonged to her. How is this possible? How did she return to the 21st century? Lil Luo, or what's the matter? The man in front sensed the change in Yiqing Luo's emotions as he slowly turned his head back. He had a peerless face and a gentle smile. Dressed in a purple robe, he stood on the streets of the 21st century. It was so intoxicating. Yiqing Luo's heart was unable to conceal the agitation in her heart as she clenched tightly onto Dmo Xian's tightly intertwined hands. Ah, Xian, do you know where this place is? Dmo Xian smiled slightly, very unfamiliar and very surprised, but little Luo looks very happy. Yes, I'm very happy. Yiqing Luo's voice was trembling. She held Dmo Xian's hand tightly as her face was filled with joy. Ah, Xian, do you know this is my hometown? I was born here and grew up here. Yiqing Luo didn't want to hide her real identity from Dmo Xian, although to her, she had completely treated herself as Nirvana Realm's Yiqing Luo. But when she stood in front of the familiar 21st century, she then realized that she was ultimately not that Nirvana Realm's Yiqing Luo. Dmo Xian laughed lightly as he stretched out his hand to pull her into his embrace. Your hometown, then you should bring me around. I want to see the place where Lil Luo grew up. His voice was extremely gentle. Yiqing Luo felt an indescribable strangeness. She wanted to raise her head to look at Dmo Xian's expression. Chapter 1817. Ah, Xian. Yiqing Luo whispered softly and wanted to raise her head. But the moment she moved, the palm on the back of her head exerted more force. The strange feeling in Yiqing Luo's heart continued to magnify. Just as Yiqing Luo wanted to resist Dmo Xian, above her head floated his mellow voice. Little Luo, this is the place where you grew up. I'm so excited. His voice was slightly trembling. The hand holding her body gradually tightened. The familiar sandalwood smell lingered in her nose. The strange feeling in Yiqing Luo's heart gradually dispersed. That was right. This place was an extremely unfamiliar place to the ancient Dmo Xian. And it was the place where she grew up. Dmo Xian's mood had such a huge change, which was a matter of course. But Yiqing Luo, who was buried in the man's arms, did not see it. The peerless man on top of her head had a gentle smile on his face, but it did not reach his eyes. That shimmering peach blossom eyes flashed with a horrifying cold glint. Faintly, there was a bit of red glow. All of a sudden, 8 spider-like black tentacles extended from his body. The tentacles bared their fangs and brandished their claws towards the young lady in his arms. The red glow in his eyes became more and more dazzling. It made those peach blossom eyes look extremely demonic. The black tentacles seemed to want to imprison Yiqing Luo and send her body towards DMO Xian's chest. At this moment, DMO Xian's body was like melting mud, as Yiqing Luo in his arms slowly merged into his body, and the young lady nestled in DMO Xian's arms. But she was totally unaware of all these. The 8 black tentacles, bit by bit, tried to enter Yiqing Luo's body, just as the tentacles were 1 centimeter away from her back. Yiqing Luo's body, suddenly a ray of red glow appeared. The tentacles were fiercely bounced back. DMO Xian's body swayed slightly as his body became tense. Xian, what's the matter? Yiqing Luo didn't know what happened. She didn't notice the change in this DMO Xian. She only suddenly sensed that DMO Xian, his body was slightly stiff. DMO Xian's eyes were filled with malevolence as he glared fiercely at the young lady in his arms. When the girl broke free from his grip and forcibly raised her head, she suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. DMO Xian's reddened eyes swiftly reverted back to the pitch-black obsidian color. The 8 feelers also retracted in an instant. Xian, are you not used to this place? Yiqing Luo raised her hand, wanting to caress DMO Xian's face. There was a lot of sweat on his forehead. DMO Xian hurriedly avoided her hand and released her delicate body. No, nothing, Lil Luo. First bring me to the place where you used to stay to take a look. Yiqing Luo's hand froze in midair, slightly stunned. Xian would never avoid her touch. Little Luo, seeing that she was standing at the same spot, not moving for a long time. DMO Xian stood in front of Yiqing Luo, raised his hand, and grabbed her wrist. Under his tugging, Yiqing Luo took a few steps forward. Her gaze fell on the hand on her wrist. Warm palms, slender fingers. Very familiar. It was the big palm in her memory. But Yiqing Luo faintly sensed something strange. But the source of this strange feeling she had no way of knowing. The person in front of her shouldn't be the fake DMO Xian, right? Chapter 1818. No, that's not right. From the moment they passed through the stone wall that was flickering with white light, DMO Xian was worried that they would be separated. He intertwined his fingers and held her tightly in his hands. Until the 21st century, their hands had never parted. She was very confident in her perception. If this DMO Xian was a fake, she must be able to sense it. But the person in front of him, whether it was his appearance or the aura he emitted, was very familiar. DMO Xian. How could he be a fake? His heart was in a mess. Dong. Yiqing Luo's face crashed heavily onto the man's hard chest. She covered her nose in pain and looked up at him. DMO Xian had unknowingly stopped his footsteps. He slightly furrowed his brows and looked at her face with a slightly heavy gaze. His tone was somewhat steady. Lil Luoer, do you not wish for me to know about your past life? Yiqing Luo's hand that was covering her nose paused. Her eyes met his. There was a faint suspicion in his heart. When she met his gaze, she inexplicably wanted to believe him. How could that be? Yiqing Luo stabilized her state of mind as she smiled. All along, I wanted to bring you to the place where I used to live, but I've never had the chance. DMO Xian's peach blossom eyes rippled. The ripples were like a huge net that could capture one's soul. Layers upon layers, enveloping Yiqing Luo's heart. But your expression tells me that you don't want me to appear here. His slender fingers gently caressed Yiqing Luo's forehead. A warm touch brushed across the skin of her face. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled slightly as she shrunk back unnaturally, avoiding his fingertips' touch. I didn't. DMO Xian sighed softly. Lil Luo, you know that I can't bear to make things difficult for you. If you're unwilling, I won't force you. No, it's not like that. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes, not knowing how to express her feelings at this moment. How was she going to tell DMO Xian that she had just suspected that he was a fake DMO Xian? Under the current situation, DMO Xian was obviously a little angry. If she mentioned her suspicions about him again, Wouldn't that be adding fuel to the fire? Seeing Yi Qing Luo lowering her head, DMO Xian's glistening pupils gradually turned gloomy. Inside its body, those 8 black tentacles were stirring, trying to entangle Yi Qing Luo tightly. DMO Xian restrained his agitation and maintained his calm tone. All right, I'll stop teasing you. It's rare to see Lil Luo, Er's hometown. Let's take a look around first. The girl in his arms suddenly stiffened. After that, the young girl raised her head. Xian, do you know where this place is? DMO Xian smiled faintly. Little Luo, Er's hometown. Yi Qing Luo nodded. Then do you still remember why we returned to my hometown from Nirvana Realm? The gentle smile on DMO Xian's face froze. Of course I remember. You don't know? Or have you forgotten? Hearing DMO Xian hemming and hawing, Yi Qing Luo's lips suddenly curled upwards, revealing a sly smile. Immediately after, DMO Xian felt his arms lightened and the warmth attached to his chest dissipated at this moment. The young girl in his arms unknowingly broke free from the restraint of his arms. Chapter 18-19. DMO Xian looked at Yi Qing Luo and nodded with a smile. Speaking of this, even I'm seeing Lil Luo Er's hometown for the first time. His gaze swept across the busy streets, as well as the shops on both sides of the road that shone with all kinds of strange lights. The people walking back and forth on the sidewalk were dressed in appalling clothes. Even I was shocked. Xiao, Yi, and Jin Zi might not be able to adapt to it either. DMO Xian said as he took a step closer to Yi Qing Luo. Lil Luo, let's go look for the both of them first. Yi Qing Luo smiled, but I don't want to go look for them with you now. DMO Xian halted his approaching footsteps. Isn't it faster to split up? Yi Qing Luo added another sentence while beaming. The restless DMO Xian was just about to unleash his aura, but like a punctured balloon, it instantly died down. Lil Luo, I'm worried about you. DMO Xian took another step towards Yi Qing Luo. Although this is your hometown, but it is after all not in the Nirvana realm. It's too dangerous here. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up delicately. Her body was as light as a butterfly as she suddenly took a few steps back. With a flash, he leaped onto a nearby bridge. She supported herself with one hand on the modern stone bridge as she smiled and waved at DMO Xian. Xian, don't worry. I'm more familiar with my hometown than anyone else. Let's go look for Jin Zi and Xiao Yi first, and after we've found them, we'll meet up here. The moment he turned around, the smile on Yi Qing Luo's face suddenly disappeared. What replaced it was a solemn and dignified atmosphere. That person was not DMO Xian. Although Yi Qing Luo was unable to explain why she and DMO Xian had stepped into that white light stone wall together, with their fingers intertwined. He could even replace DMO Xian without anyone knowing. But Yi Qing Luo was completely certain now. That person was absolutely not DMO Xian. If it was DMO Xian, he wouldn't have repeatedly requested for her to bring him around, or bring him to the place where she used to stay, and such requests. Once, twice. She only thought that DMO Xian cared about her too much. But 3 times, 4 times, furthermore, he made such a request when Xiao Jin and Yin Xiaoyi's life and death were still unknown. It couldn't help but make Yi Qing Luo suspicious, because DMO Xian knew how much she valued and cared for her brother. Why would she delay her search for Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao? Just to see the place where she had grown up. She knew that person was not DMO Xian, but it was impossible to guess what motive he had for pretending to be DMO Xian. She also did not know the other party's identity. Under such circumstances, she could not forcefully expose that he was not DMO Xian. Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao were waiting for her rescue. Her Xian must be looking for her everywhere. She had to find them immediately. She had just crossed the bridge and entered a high-class shopping mall when Yi Qing Luo discovered another strange thing. Previously, when she and DMO Xian were standing in the middle of the road, There were people coming and going all around. The traffic was heavy. She even leaped onto the bridge. It didn't attract anyone's attention. Obviously, the people here could not see her in Immerse. But when she rushed into the shopping mall, she could clearly feel the gazes of the people who were shopping on the street. There were also people pointing at her and whispering about something. Yiqing Luo's hearing was sharp, even if she wasn't listening carefully. Chapter 1820. Who's that beauty? Why is she wearing an ancient costume? Could it be a big star filming a movie? She's so beautiful. She must be a big star. Let's go take a look and find out what movie the big star is filming. This ancient costume suits her too well. Just based on this face, I will definitely chase after her till the end. After a while, Yiqing Luo's back was already surrounded by a large group of people. Looking at the modern clothes in front of her, Yiqing Luo had a feeling that it was a lifetime ago, until she was surrounded by a group of people. Yiqing Luo reacted. She wanted to escape, but she was surrounded by those people. So many people were staring at her. If she used her light body technique to escape, in less than half a day, she would probably be treated as a monster. She might even be caught and dissected. What was going on? Wasn't this world an illusion created by Xishanglan? Even Immerse was fake. Wasn't everything here fake as well? Why'd she felt that it was so real? She almost thought that she had passed through the white stone wall and traveled back to the 21st century. She couldn't judge the authenticity of everything in front of her. Yiqing Luo didn't dare to act rashly. "Lass, can you hear my voice?" Suddenly, a voice emerged in Yiqing Luo's mind. Yiqing Luo was pushed by the crowd, and her eyes suddenly lit up. Old Man Song. In this place, the connection between Old Man Song and her had not disappeared. "Phew, I finally got in touch with you." Old Man Song took a deep breath. "Finally, what do you mean?" Old Man Song activated the vision function in the Azure Dew bracelet. Seeing the current situation, he said, "Find a quiet place first and listen to me." Yiqing Luo was surrounded by a group of people until she couldn't breathe. Originally, those people chased her to ask if she was a star and what movie she was filming. Yiqing Luo only shook her head in denial. This time, she simply admitted that she was a star. Then she used the excuse of rushing to the set to film. As for what movie it was, she would find out after a few months. Finally, she escaped from those people. Yiqing Luo expressed that she was indeed not suitable to get along with the modern people. In the Nirvana realm, no matter how much the commoners liked someone, they would reservedly stand at a distance and watch silently. Yiqing Luo had not discovered it, while she was trying to get away and find a quiet place. Not far away from the shopping mall, a strange person covered in black sportswear with a hood covering his entire face stopped in his tracks. The strange man raised his head. Even the hood revealed a pair of sinister and crimson eyes. His scarlet pupils reflected the image of a red-clothed girl in an ancient costume who had left in a hurry. His pupils constricted slightly. That was Yiqing Luo? How could she appear here? The strange man's crimson eyes were filled with astonishment. Just as the freak was about to catch up and confirm the girl's identity, the red-clothed girl was nowhere to be seen. The strange man staggered a few steps back, his body trembling slightly. After thinking for a while, he turned around and quickly walked out of the mall. Yiqing Luo finally found the toilet in the mall and squeezed into one in the corner. She wiped the sweat on her forehead. Old Man Song. Is this the real world or an illusion created by Xishanglan based on the world in my memory? Star. Chapter 1821. Old Song's spirit body emerged from the Azure Dew bracelet. White mist curled up, making his spirit body look extremely illusory. This isn't the Nirvana realm. If someone were to see you like this, they might think that you're haunted. I might as well enter the Azure Dew bracelet and talk to you. Something that could make Old Man Song appear and talk to her must be very serious. No one else can see me. Old Man Song's spirit body floated one round above Yiqing Luo's head. This plane is too dangerous. You must maintain your consciousness. Danger? You mean this is not Nirvana realm, but another plane? Yi Ching Luo knitted her brows. From the moment you stepped into the soulless array formation, you entered another plane. Old Man Song's voice was deep and solemn. Godless array formation. These four words gave Yi Ching Luo an ominous premonition for no reason. Yes, godless array. Old Man Song looked at Yi Ching Luo. Do you still remember that time? The three evils who wanted to snatch the profound phoenix ring? Those guys from the godless island. Of course, Yi Ching Luo still remembered that group of fellows who had snatched her profound phoenix ring out of nowhere and disappeared mysteriously, never to be heard of Godless Island again. That's right, it's the Godless Island. Old Man Song's white eyebrows tightly knitted together. The poison that you use 100-pill refinements to analyze is also an extreme poison from Godless Island. Godless Island, meddling with forces outside the Nirvana realm? If I'm not wrong, Xishang Lan should be from Godless Island. Moreover, he is the son of the island master of Godless Island. Old Man Song's words made Yi Ching Luo's eyes sink. Her eyes were filled with astonishment and disbelief. How could the Shi clan of the West Continent and Godless Island? Speaking of this, Yi Ching Luo's words suddenly came to a halt. The Shi family indeed had nothing to do with Godless Island. But that didn't mean Xishang Lan didn't have one. Xishang Lan. She had always suspected Xishang Lan's true identity. The current Xishang Lan was most likely no longer the gentle Xishang Lan from before. He was replaced by the so-called son of the island master of Godless Island. His motive was to get close to Yin Xiao Yi. No, more accurately, it was to get close to Yi Ching Luo. Xishang Lan's target was Yi Ching Luo. Previously, Yi Ching Luo had this conjecture. Unexpectedly, Xishang Lan was really not Xishang Lan. Thinking of the Godless Island's interest in her profound phoenix ring, Yi Ching Luo's slender brows creased tightly. Then what is the godless array that you mentioned? The forbidden formation of Godless Island. Old Man Song's voice suddenly became deep and heavy. Forbidden array formation? He dares to use a forbidden formation in the Nirvana realm. Aren't you afraid of attracting the people from the upper realm to maintain the balance in the Nirvana realm and make a move on Godless Island? Yi Ching Luo cried out in surprise. In order to deal with her, he even took out a taboo array formation. Should she feel honored? Once the soulless formation is set up, as its name implies, even gods will be unable to escape once they enter the formation. Old Man Song sighed softly. So, not to mention Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi, those two fellows, if they enter the soulless formation, just the overlord lad, I'm afraid he will be trapped here. The beauty of the soulless formation is that it targets a person's inner heart, which is an array that attacks one's heart. It has thousands of changes, and it's an instantaneous change. Perhaps in the previous instance, you need to use your intellect to break the array. In the next instance, you need to use your strength to break the array. Chapter 1822. Then, the reason why I appear in the era I grew up in is because I still have some thoughts about this era. If it all changed according to the changes in the heart, that was the 21st century she was in now. What was there that could attack her heart? And the most important point I haven't told you. Old Man Song fixed his eyes on Yi Ching Luo, his eyes solemn. The godless array is not the illusion you think it is. Not an illusion? Yi Ching Luo stood up and stepped on the toilet lid. You said this is the real world? Damn, she had really returned to the 21st century? You can say that. Old Man Song nodded seriously. In this vast world, there are all kinds of big and small planes, and each plane has its own independent living space. The area you are talking about is also one of the planes in the Kangmang continent. As for why you entered this plane after the godless array, I have no way of knowing the answer. Old Man Song's spirit body flew one round around Yi Ching Luo's head. Luo girl, as smart as you are, you should have long noticed the secret you are hiding. Yi Ching Luo's foot on the toilet gradually retracted. Yes, she did notice something. After all, Anyone who found out that they had the one and only divine phoenix profound heart jade in this world, that even the divine realm was envious of and coveted, and that they had extremely strong cultivation talent, they would have doubts about their own physique, especially when she obviously had an excellent physique. But her bones were changed, and she became a waste without any cultivation talent. Yiqing Luo increasingly felt that she was not simple. Although in the beginning, she used her identity as the young matriarch of the Three Springs sect as an excuse, but she still couldn't convince herself. The Three Springs sect was rumored to be the guards of the God Realm Emperor, stationed in the West Continent, guarding the tomb of the God Realm Emperor. And as the successor of the Three Springs sect, the descendant of the God Realm Emperor's guard, it wasn't unreasonable for him to have exceptional talent. But after seeing such a scumbag father, Yiqing Luo was unable to link her own innate talent and Three Springs sect together, unless she had inherited her mother's talent. But her memories of her mother were too old, so old that she couldn't recall it. She really couldn't conclude. The fact that you've come to this plane may have been preordained. Old Man Song took a deep look at Yiqing Luo. Lass, this plane is very dangerous for you. This is a real plane, a real world. Once you get lost in this world, you will be assimilated into this plane and finally be completely swallowed by the godless array. This was the terrifying part of the soulless formation. Unknowingly, he was devoured. Even when they died, they might not even know how they died. Just like just now. Yiqing Luo was surrounded by numerous people in the shopping mall. If it was a person with extremely high vanity, under the flattery, he sank into vanity. It was very likely that he would really be devoured by this kind of greed and vanity. Finally, this old man will give you a piece of advice. The color of Old Man Song's spirit body gradually faded. The white, curling mist caused Old Man Song's body to become increasingly transparent and illusory. In this plane, there are people more powerful than you. Moreover, those two little fellows, Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi, are definitely not in this plane that you're in. Chapter 1823. Speaking of DMO Xian, Yiqing Luo was rather worried. Xian and I entered the godless array together, but the Xian I met earlier was fake. So, would DMO Xian have met the faker? That DMO Xian was so real. If it wasn't for Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi, she really could not detect DMO Xian's abnormality at all. If DMO Xian met the faker, can you recognize it? That's the devouring formation I of the soulless formation. Old Man Song explained, the devouring formations I can target everyone's heart and transform into the person you value the most in your heart, or the person closest to you, in order to gain your trust. When your body and mind are at their most relaxed and you trust it wholeheartedly, it will fuse you into its body and become one with it. Fuse into one? Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. Is what you said true? That was when she was with that DMO Xian. He really trusted that DMO Xian wholeheartedly. However, she didn't seem to feel like she was being devoured. You have the divine phoenix profound heart jade to protect you. The devouring array, I can't touch you for now. Old Man Song's body was becoming more and more transparent. You'd better not be alone with the devouring formation eye. The most important thing you have to do now is find that Dizun boy. As for what we're going to do next, we'll make other plans. Old Man Song, your body. Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly congealed as she reached out to touch Old Man Song. But when he touched it, there was only a white mist. Old Man Song's figure completely disappeared before his eyes. I'm fine. In his mind, Old Man Song's slightly tired voice sounded. This plane has suppressed my mental strength too much. In order to get in touch with you, I've used up too much of my mental strength, causing me to be unable to maintain my spiritual form. Yiqing Luo heard what he said, and from his tone, he was indeed too exhausted, so she heaved a sigh of relief. I need to sleep for a while. During this time, you should go and look for Dizun. With that, The connection between her and Old Man Song was cut off once again. He called out to Old Man Song a few times, but there was no response, as if he had sunk into the sea. From the looks of it, before Old Man Song woke up, she had no way of contacting Old Man Song. Suddenly, she thought of something. He immediately used his soul sense to contact the pet space. Sure enough, it was as Old Man Song said. In this plane, her spiritual power was also suppressed too much. The connection with the pet space was very weak, but it was better than not sensing anything at all. Yiqing Luo sighed silently. The most important thing right now was to find Ah Xian. With Ah Xian around, she believed in him. Regardless of whether it was a divine array formation or a divine array formation, there would definitely be a solution. Yiqing Luo's fingertips gently caressed the profound phoenix ring. He wondered if the Netherworld Phoenix Ring and the Netherworld Dragon Ring could still sense each other in this plane. She had better leave the washroom first before doing anything else. Yiqing Luo opened the tightly shut toilet door. Outside the washroom, there were 3 or 4 women with strange expressions. When they saw Yiqing Luo walking out from the toilet, the few of them exchanged glances and pointed at her. They seemed to be trying to guess her identity. This feeling was exactly the same as when she was surrounded by a group of star chasers in the mall. Mother asterisk her. She didn't know if she should say it or not. Chapter 1824. Yiqing Luo awkwardly coughed a few times and immediately bowed to them in embarrassment. Sorry to disturb you. I was reciting the script and was too engrossed in reciting that I forgot the occasion. The surrounding women saw Yiqing Luo dressed in a red ancient costume. They believed her when she said she was reciting the script. Yiqing Luo secretly wiped off her cold sweat, apologized a few more times, and hurriedly rushed out of the washroom. She should be glad that she was attracted by Old Man Song's words. She forgot to change into a set of clothes that belonged to this plane, and the others couldn't see or hear Old Man Song's words. From the beginning to the end, they only heard her muttering to herself. This gave her an excuse to not be treated as a lunatic by others. Yiqing Luo cursed in her heart. What kind of bullshit array was this? It was actually a real plane. She didn't know what year it was in this plane. In this era of advanced information on the internet, Yiqing Luo absolutely believed that her photos would be spread all over the internet. It was not that she was narcissistic, but today's society was like this. If this news were to spread, would those old fellows from the Yi family who were still alive and her enemies be surprised when they saw her? After leaving the washroom, Yiqing Luo put this matter to the back of her mind. She raised her hand and looked at the profound phoenix ring on her fingertip. Right now, she had to find a way to gather her mental power as soon as possible. As long as she could sense the location of the profound dragon ring, it would be enough. At the same time, in a luxurious villa, a strange man in black sportswear with a hood rushed into the villa. Master! The 2 burly men in bodyguard uniforms were guarding the door suddenly knelt on the ground. Their kneeling posture was extremely standard. The strange man walked in quickly. When the door of the villa was closed, that strange man who was still walking quickly suddenly stretched his body and flipped over to the second floor. In the air, a faint, profound energy was faintly discernible. The strange man walked quickly into the study on the second floor. This study was decorated exactly the same as the ancient furnishings. The strange man walked to a mahogany square table, flipped his palm, and slammed it on the table, only to hear a loud pa sound. The square table was separated from the middle. Then a foldable screen slowly rose. The strange man placed his palm on the screen. A powerful and majestic, profound energy shot out from his palm. Soon, the entire screen was enveloped by the mystic light. The next moment, a bone-chilling voice came from the screen. "What's the matter, Netherworld?" The strange person called Netherworld raised his head and stared fixedly at the black-robed man on the screen. His crimson eyes looked like they were dyed with blood. "I have something to discuss with the Venerable One." "The Venerable is not free." The cold voice refused without hesitation. "Yuan, Netherworld was sullen. I have a message that I must personally tell the Venerable One. Can you bear the responsibility for delaying the Venerable One's plan? Yuhan snorted disdainfully. Before Yuming could speak again, a gentle female voice came from the screen. All right, Yuan. It's rare for Yuming to contact us. Why make things difficult for him? A petite black-robed person appeared on the screen. You knew. Netherworld's crimson eyes flickered when he saw the person, and his voice became gentler. Is the Venerable One not around? The Venerable One has gone to Godless Island to discuss something with the Lord of Godless Island. He is not in the palace for the time being. Yu smiled gently. Netherworld was slightly stunned. He pursed his lips and looked at Yu. Then please tell the Venerable One personally that I found Yi Qing Luo in the 21st century. Star. Chapter 1825. Yu Luo's evil eyes lit up slightly. Her bright red nails scratched her pink lips as her lips curled into a sinister smile. Oh, she really entered the soulless array. Yuming was slightly stunned when he heard that. Soulless array? What's the point of talking so much to him? Yu Luo scoffed. An exiled, lowly slave. What rights does she have to know about the Venerable's plan? The dark girl glared at Yu Han coquettishly, then looked at the Lord of the Netherworld with a smile. I will tell the Venerable One about this. You go to that plane and help the Venerable One find what he needs. I will plead for you so that the Venerable One can bring you back as soon as possible. Yu Ming's other hand, which was hanging by his side, clenched tightly into a fist shape. His crimson eyes were filled with coldness. After some time, he fixed his gaze on Yu Luo on the screen. Yi Qing Luo appearing in this plane, is it the Venerable's intention? Of course. Yu Luo chuckled. Everything is in the Venerable's control. As for the reason why Yi Qing Luo appeared in that plane, don't ask too much. Yu Ming's eyes dimmed as he responded in a low voice, yes. Without waiting for Yu Luo to speak again, Yu Luo had already raised her hand and cut off the connection between them. Seeing the screen, which was wrapped in a profound glow, gradually turning into an ordinary screen. Yu Luo's face disappeared from the screen. Yu Ming's hand slowly slid down from the screen. Yi Qing Luo appearing here, it was the Venerable's intention. He came to this plane because of the Venerable's intention. That was Yi Qing Luo's appearance. Did it mean that the Venerable was getting impatient? The Venerable wanted Yi Qing Luo to find that thing herself? Once again, he had become an abandoned chess piece, hadn't he? If Fengling was here, she would definitely be able to recognize the black-robed person who was called Yu Luo was the one who looked delicate, but was actually gloomy in the dark sacred region. At the same time, in the 21st century plane, not far from the wealthy district, in the Sentry Garden, Yi Qing Luo, who was closing her eyes and gathering her mental power in an attempt to get in touch with Dmo Xian through the profound phoenix, ring suddenly opened her eyes. In her charming eyes, there was a faint look of astonishment. She seemed to have sensed the fluctuation of profound qi. How could there be anyone in this plane who possessed profound energy? But this fluctuation of profound energy she would not sense wrongly. In his mind, he suddenly recalled what old man Tsang's spirit body had said before it disappeared. In this plane, there was someone even more powerful than her. Was he referring to profound practitioners who cultivated profound energy like her? This was a plane that truly existed. How could it be possible that a profound practitioner would appear? Yi Qing Luo vigilantly looked towards the direction of the profound qi fluctuation. That was the direction of the wealthy district. Someone who could buy a villa in the wealthy district. In this plane of the 21st century, the rich were the noble. This meant that profounder had been on this plane for a very long time. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes and was about to follow the profound qi fluctuations to find that cultivator. Suddenly, the fluctuation of profound qi was cut off. She stopped in her tracks. Squinting her eyes, she sensed carefully. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not sense any fluctuation of profound qi. It was as if what she had sensed just now was nothing more than an illusion. But Yiqing Luo was clear. That was definitely not an illusion. He chose to gather his spiritual energy in the Century Garden in the wealthy district. It was precisely because she had taken a fancy to the heaven and earth spiritual energy in this garden. And over at the wealthy district, there was profound qi fluctuations. That was enough to prove that that person had taken a fancy to the heaven and earth spiritual energy here. Yiqing Luo wanted to find that cultivator. It would be best if she could find out from that person how to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual energy and gather her spiritual energy and consciousness. But she did not dare to act rashly. She knew nothing about the other party's identity. Chapter 1826. Just as Yiqing Luo was hesitating, a clear and gentle voice suddenly came from behind. "Little Luo, I have finally found you." The familiar voice made Yiqing Luo's heart tighten uncontrollably. She quickly turned around. She saw a man dressed in a purple robe with peerless elegance slowly walking towards her. His purple robe fluttered, flowing with a dazzling brilliance. An ethereal temperament and a majestic aura caused others to be unable to shift their gazes away. Xian. Yiqing Luo's eyes lit up slightly as her face revealed a joyful expression. Dmo Xian's lips curled up gently, his smile devilishly charming and alluring. He opened his arms to her. Yiqing Luo was just about to lift her feet and walk towards Dmo Xian's direction. Suddenly, he felt a tingling sensation on his fingertips. She looked down and saw that the profound phoenix ring on her finger was glowing with a devilish red light. The scorching pain constantly stimulated her divine sense. Profound phoenix ring. Xian. Yes. The connection between the netherworld phoenix ring and the netherworld dragon ring had yet to take shape. How did Dmo Xian know that she was in the Century Garden? This person was not Dmo Xian. This was the devouring array's eye, an illusion of Dmo Xian. Only by devouring the formation would he be able to find her. He knew in his heart that the person in front of him was not Dmo Xian. However, for some reason, Yiqing Luo had an impulse to walk over to him and pounce into his arms. Was it because he was too similar to Dmo Xian? Or, not giving Yiqing Luo much time to think, the profound phoenix ring on her fingertips released a scorching heat that made her sober up from the pain. Devouring the formation, to bewitch her heart? "Little Luo, what's wrong?" The devouring formation saw that she had stopped and warmly reminded her. Yiqing Luo stabilized her state of mind, and her heart had already calmed down. Suddenly, she thought of something, and a sly smile appeared in the depths of her charming eyes. This Dmo Xian in front of him was the devouring array of the godless array. If Qiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi both entered the soulless formation, through devouring the formation core, there was a possibility that he could obtain the whereabouts of Qiao Jin and Xiao Yi. Yiqing Luo's face was filled with smiles as she looked at him with a light smile. "Have you found Jin Zi and Xiao Yi? I'm worried about you." The core of the devouring array looked up, its peach blossom eyes filled with grievance. "Our most important mission right now is to find Jin Zi and Xiao Yi." Yiqing Luo put on a helpless look. "This place is too dangerous. We must split up and speed up the search for Jin Zi and Xiao Yi." The devouring array eyes' expression froze for a moment, but it quickly smiled and said, "This place is indeed dangerous. I can only be at ease if I'm by your side. This is my hometown, the place where I grew up. No matter how dangerous it is, I'll be fine." Yiqing Luo waved her hand and said indifferently. The devouring formation core fell silent. Perhaps he was hesitating on how to think of a way to stay by Yiqing Luo's side. Or perhaps it was because it was astonished that Yiqing Luo actually didn't lose her senses from its hallucination technique. The beauty of the soulless formation lay in attacking the mind. However, the heart of the person who was attacked did not waver. Even the devouring formation core was powerless. It wanted to devour Yiqing Luo. He needed Yiqing Luo to be at ease and to trust him wholeheartedly. I'll go ahead to sense Jin Zi and Xiao Yi's presence. You go over there to search. Yiqing Luo didn't wait for the devouring formation core's reply as she turned around and walked towards the direction of the wealthy district. Her footsteps were slow, intentionally waiting for the devouring formation core to stop her. Indeed, at the next instance, the devouring formation core's slightly anxious voice was heard from behind. Lil Luo, I've already found where they are. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up slightly. A crafty smile filled her eyes. She was waiting for the devouring formation core to say this sentence. Star. Chapter 1827. When she turned around, Yiqing Luo had already concealed the craftiness in her eyes. When he looked at the core of the devouring formation, his eyes were filled with surprise. Yiqing Luo walked to the side of the devouring array core as she smiled like a flower. Where are they? I'll bring you there. The eye of the devouring formation reached out a slender arm towards her, wanting to embrace her delicate body. Just as he raised his hand, Yiqing Luo dodged sideways and raised her hand to block its outstretched hand. The devouring array core's expression sunk as it raised its eyes to look at Yiqing Luo. But he saw Yiqing Luo pouting her pink lips with its Sundra look, seeing that I'm so anxious and worried about Xiao, Yi, and the rest, you still dare to tease me. I'll punish you not to touch me. The body of the devouring formation core stiffened. Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision saw that the other hand of the devouring arrays was tightly clenched into a fist. Apparently, he was infuriated by Yiqing Luo. However, it had to suppress the anger in its heart. In Yiqing Luo's memories, it was deeply aware of how Dmo Xian pampered his wife. It retracted its hand stiffly and smiled. Its eyes were sparkling, and it was a peerless beauty. All right. It's my fault that I didn't tell you about this immediately. I won't touch you. Looking at the devouring formation eye, it obediently took a few steps back. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but sneer in her heart. A fake was a fake. Even if it had completely replicated Dmo Xian's appearance and temperament. Nor could they replicate Dmo Xian's uniqueness. If it was Dmo Xian, how could he possibly be obedient and not touch her just because he said he wouldn't flatter her? He would definitely pull her into his embrace. Little Luo, don't waste any more time. Let's go. The devouring array core really didn't touch Yiqing Luo, and specially walked in front of her to lead the way. Xiao, Yi, and Jin Zi are waiting for us to go over. After some time, he didn't get any response from Yiqing Luo. The devouring array core turned around, but discovered that Yiqing Luo was still standing at the same spot, not moving at all. A happy and surprised smile gradually appeared on her gorgeous face. She lifted her hand and looked at the profound phoenix ring on her finger. His heart suddenly soared. That smile. It caused the devouring formation core to have a strange feeling. To prevent any accidents from happening, it couldn't care less about maintaining Dmo Xian's gentleness towards Yiqing Luo. Suddenly, he took quick steps towards Yiqing Luo, and his voice was filled with urgency. Lil Luo, I sense that Xiao, Yi, and Jin Zi are in danger. We need to rush over immediately. Its figure had just neared Yiqing Luo. Suddenly, a majestic and vast dark force came crashing down from all directions. Bang! A series of deafening explosions resounded throughout the entire floor. The devouring formation's core keenly sensed danger approaching. The hand which was about to grab Yiqing Luo was immediately retracted. His figure turned into a black shadow as he retreated a few steps. The sound of rocks colliding and tearing was accompanied by the howling of the wind. The surging airwaves transformed into numerous majestic vortexes. Sand and dust filled the air. In front of Yiqing Luo's eyes, an enchantment barrier enveloped her. The leaves of the entire century garden rustled, and the fresh flowers filled the garden, dancing in the strong wind. At the place where the devouring formation core stood, a thin crack appeared. A moment later, the crack suddenly split open. The century garden, along with that wealthy district, was shaking continuously. However, the young lady who was protected by the enchantment barrier. There wasn't any feeling of turbulence at all. But the devouring formation core, standing opposite Yiqing Luo, wasn't having it easy. The surroundings of the Century Garden, because of this huge commotion, rang a series of alarms. From all directions, there were surging breaths from the crowd. Apparently, the commotion in the Century Garden had attracted the attention of the surrounding guards. Chapter 1828. The devouring array eyes face darkened as it stared at the young lady who was protected by the enchantment in the hurricane. Its peach blossom eyes flashed with a piercingly cold glint. That peerless face, in a split second, was covered with a gloomy and cold aura. It looked extremely sinister, but exceptionally handsome. What was going on? Who was it? Who disturbed its prey? Do you think you can impersonate this lord just because you want to? An extremely cold voice came from afar. Immediately after, a shadow flashed across the sky. The devouring array, I only felt a dull pain in its chest. Before he could even catch the last purple afterimage, he was already gone. That figure had its back facing him, walking slowly towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Ah Xian! Yiqing Luo's voice trembled as she looked at the man walking towards her. Purple robe billowed, incomparably handsome. His black hair was tied into a crown, wantonly and ostentatious. The man's figure was tall and slender, with an exquisite face, peach blossom eyes that reflected the dark light, rosy red lips. No matter how she looked, he was a complete evildoer, stunning the world, peerless. When the four eyes met, Yiqing Luo saw deep worry and longing in his eyes. She raised her lips. Her eyebrows were tinged with a trace of smile. The lines on his face also gradually softened. He was Ah Xian. It was her, Ah Xian. Just when the devouring array, I was about to bring her away. She could sense the connection between the Netherworld Phoenix ring and the Netherworld Dragon ring. Yiqing Luo knew. It was DMO Xian. The real DMO Xian was here. He came to find her when the real one appeared. The fake DMO Xian in the devouring array, I looked extremely comical. That was a complete copy of the appearance and aura. At this moment, the contrast was like heaven and earth. Yiqing Luo was suspicious of her own eyes. Such an obvious gap. She actually recognized the devouring array eye as DMO Xian in the beginning. She didn't know. The current DMO Xian, in order to find her, released his usual strength. His aura and temperament had undergone a double transformation. Standing in front of the DMO Xian, who had replicated Yiqing Luo's memories in the devouring array's eye. Naturally, he could suppress all the light from the devouring array's eye. You? How could you? The devouring formation stared at this man who had completely disregarded it. Its heart was burning with rage. It was the eye of the soulless formation. The inside of this formation was its territory, but it was actually injured by an outsider who entered its territory. The devouring formation core could not endure this humiliation no matter what. DMO Xian's footsteps stopped in front of Yiqing Luo. The airflow around the two of them gradually calmed down. The enchantment which enveloped Yiqing Luo also dissipated at this moment. He spread his arms wide. She was all smiles as she threw herself into his arms. Ah Xian, you finally found me. Yiqing Luo buried her head in his arms, inhaling the elegant fragrance from his body. She was Ah Xian. She loved Ah Xian alone. DMO Xian tightened his arms. He could feel the warmth of her delicate body and her light breathing. His heart, which was hanging in the air, was finally at ease. The devouring array looked at the two people in front of him who were in love with each other, completely disregarding him. His fingers clenched tightly as he looked at DMO Xian, whose back was facing him. Suddenly, his figure flashed as he charged towards DMO Xian's direction. He had just taken a step forward. The devouring formation core suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream. Chapter 1829. It clutched its chest as a mouthful of blood spurted out from its mouth. What did you do to me? The devouring, I couldn't exert any strength at all. Even maintaining its current form was a little strenuous. Until now, the devouring I had finally understood. Right from the start, Yiqing Luo knew that it wasn't the real DMO Xian. So, she rejected its touch, and didn't call it Xian. Might as well. The devouring, I didn't waste any more energy to maintain DMO Xian's appearance. Gradually, a black fog appeared in front of the two of them. Human-shaped black fog. It had human eyes, nose, mouth. Whatever humans had, this black fog also had. It was as if he was a man created by the black fog. This was the devouring eye. It looked really strange and ugly. DMO Xian's brows rose slightly as he looked down at the devouring eye, noble and elegant, as though he was looking at everything in the world, making the devouring eye feel a sense of humiliation. DMO Xian's thin lips curled slightly as he smiled. You dare to touch my woman, your guts aren't small. His tone was very light, but it revealed an oppressive sense of power. The devouring, I felt the energy in its body was disappearing at an extremely fast speed. There was a strong sense of fear in its eyes. Tell me the location of Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin. Perhaps I can consider letting you off. DMO Xian smiled calmly. The devouring, I panted as its eyes were filled with viciousness. Don't even think about it. Don't ever think of finding those two lowly humans. Slap, only to hear the sound of an air current breaking through the air. Yiqing Luo raised a palm of profound qi and slapped directly towards the devouring eye's face. A heavy slap carried a strong, profound qi. One slap caused the devouring eye to spit out a large mouthful of blood. In terms of lowly, an intangible body like you, without a face, is the real lowly one. Yiqing Luo sneered. If you don't want to say, I can't be bothered to waste time to force you. The devouring eye's face instantly darkened. Although the face was like a mass of black fog, it was a mass of pitch black. You're definitely not the only formation eye in this massive soulless formation. You might not care about your life, but there are plenty of others who do. Yiqing Luo Wei squinted her eyes as she stared at the devouring array core, revealing an obvious ridicule. Once the array core's energy is depleted, it will completely disappear in the godless array, right? The black mist-like body of the devouring formation core twitched violently on the ground. This was obviously tacitly agreeing to Yiqing Luo's question. It cherished its life. It naturally cherished its life. In the entire deity array formation, which array core didn't care about their lives. He had been the godless formation for tens of thousands of years. The godless island had sent tens of thousands of people to the godless array. It could easily capture the weakness in everyone's heart. Then, it would completely devour the other party. This was the first time it had failed. From Yiqing Luo's memories, the devouring array core had read DMO Xian's power. Now that he saw DMO Xian with his own eyes. As the devouring formation eye that attacked the heart, it naturally understood. It couldn't afford to provoke this man. The godless island had actually let such a powerful person in. Were they trying to destroy the godless array formation completely? Lil Luo, it refuses to say, what should we do? DMO Xian's eyes drooped as he gazed at the young lady in his arms as he asked with a light smile. Chapter 1830. DMO Xian had a whatever my wife says expression as he nodded with a smile. Then we shall do as Lil Luo says. He waved his hand. His purple robe rolled up a terrifying, profound energy. The irresistible force made the devouring array. I cry out in shock. I'll speak. I'll speak. I'll tell you where the two humans are at. I don't want to disappear. I don't want to disappear. Yiqing Luo raised her hand and hugged DMO Xian's arm. DMO Xian also restrained his aura at the right time. She raised her brows and continued to smile. Whether it disappears or not depends on how much obsession you have to survive. Yiqing Luo felt that the feeling of a fox borrowing the tiger's might was indeed cool. The devouring array, I trembled as it stared at Dmo Xian with trepidation and told him where Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi were at. They've been teleported to a battle spell formation. That's the most devastating of all the spell formations. In that place, there is only battle. Battle. Battle on and on. Yi Qing Luo's face instantly turned pale. Are you sure what you said is true? It's absolutely true. Generally speaking, those who enter the array will be split into different places according to their own hearts, to undergo the array's devouring and assimilation. But this time, not only the two of you enter the same place. They too are all in the same place, so I remember it very clearly. Looking at the devouring array, eyes, solemn look. Yi Qing Luo's expression turned uglier by the minute. Her fingers tightened as she held Dmo Xian's arm tightly. Dmo Xian gently caressed her head as he hugged her petite body tightly. Immediately, his gaze turned chilly as he looked at the devouring array. The way to go to that place. The devouring array, I didn't expect Dmo Xian to ask so directly as he was shocked. I don't know. Don't know? Then you have no value. Yi Qing Luo was burning with anxiety. How would she have the mood to watch the devouring array eyes' little trick? I can bring you there. The devouring array core was so frightened that it hurriedly changed its words. As if afraid that the two of them wouldn't believe it, it solemnly vowed, I am the array core of the soulless array core. I can track the whereabouts of everyone who enters the soulless array core. Yi Qing Luo didn't bother with his nonsense as she let go of Dmo Xian's arm and walked in big strides to the side of the devouring array core. She took out a pill from the profound phoenix ring and stuffed it into the devouring array core's mouth. Now lead the way. After consuming the elixir, the devouring formation core's strength gradually returned to its body. It got up from the ground. He touched his limbs to make sure that they were completely healed. Just as he was about to turn around to face Yi Qing Luo, to flatter her alchemy skills with joy. What greeted him was a kick to the face. Bang! The devouring formation core fell to the ground. Cut the crap. Lead the way immediately. Yi Qing Luo was burning with anxiety as she urged him to kick. The devouring array core was afraid of these two and didn't dare to play any more tricks. It obediently led the two of them to where the eye of the formation resided. The location of the formation, I was also where the formation I was fixed. Once the formation I was destroyed, it would disappear. Bringing them to their residences and the devouring formation core was already a gamble with the determination to die. On the way, the devouring formation core looked at the worried Yi Qing Luo and suddenly thought of something as it hesitantly asked, Are you sure you want to leave this plane? Yi Qing Luo's cold eyes swept across. The devouring formation core immediately shrunk its head. This cowardly look, where was the slightest bit of the dignified attitude when it transformed into Dmo Xian? Star. Chapter 1831. She took a few more steps. The devouring array core shrunk its neck as it spoke in a trembling voice. I'm telling the truth. You want to leave this plane? Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased slightly. I don't have the time to talk nonsense with you. But, the devouring array core stuttered. Looking at Yi Qing Luo's frosty expression, it didn't dare to say it out. It pouted and muttered softly. You coming to this plane is intentionally arranged by someone. If you leave this plane, wouldn't that mean? That lord wasted 100 years of profound energy to send you over. The devouring array core's voice became softer. But based on Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian's hearing ability, they could hear it clearly. Their expressions changed slightly, and they looked at each other. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as her voice turned chilly. You're saying someone intentionally sent me to the 21st century plane? The devouring array core widened its black fog-like eyes, as though it was extremely astonished. It had already said it very softly. Why were they still able to hear it? Yi Qing Luo slapped its forehead. Don't go into a daze. Speak clearly. I'm just one of the thousands and thousands of array cores in the godless array, so I don't know much. Before it could finish its words, it met Yi Qing Luo's icy cold gaze and heard the cracking sound of finger joints. The devouring array core instantly cowered as it lowered its head. You were indeed sent to this plane by someone. Intentionally sent to this plane? Who was it? And even wasted 100 years of profound energy? 100 years of profound energy. Even if it was someone with average innate talent, in 100 years' time, he would be able to cultivate to at least 2 grades of power. That person, what motive did he have? She knew it. If it was based on a person's inner heart, the plane that was sent to, no matter what, it should be Nirvana Realm, Devil Class, or the World Group's old residence. Anyway, it was absolutely not the 21st century. In the 21st century, other than the long-lost feelings, there was nothing worth her nostalgia. But in Nirvana Realm, there was her brother, her kin, her favorite people. This was the place that could truly conquer her inner heart. So, she came to the 21st century. It was deliberate. Don't ask me why I sent you here. I really don't know. I only know that in order to send you to this plane, other than the opportunity of the soulless formation, I also need to exhaust 100 years of profound energy, but I feel that if they used 100 years of profound energy to send you over, there must be something important that they need you to do. If you were to head to another plane so easily, wouldn't that be a waste of that Lord's 100 years of profound energy? When Yi Qing Luo heard that, her expression didn't change at all. She curled her lips in disdain. What I hate most in my life is being used by others. The devouring formation core was taken aback for a moment before coming to a realization. Yi Qing Luo totally didn't know who was the person who sent her to the 21st century. Not to mention, she came to this plane to do something important. Yi Qing Luo totally didn't know. Moreover, under the circumstances where no one knew, he had schemed against Yi Qing Luo. Based on Yi Qing Luo's character, how would she possibly care about that lord and waste a few hundred years of profound energy? That had nothing to do with her at all. I'm not interested to know about unimportant people. Yi Qing Luo gave it a cold glance. If you continue talking rubbish, I'll cut off your tongue. Chapter 1832. The Devouring Array. I obediently led the way. Yi Qing Luo and Dmo Xian walked behind. She tugged Dmo Xian's arm and lowered her voice. Ah Xian, who in Nirvana Realm has lived for at least 500 years and above, if she was sent to this plane by expending 100 years of profound energy, that person's cultivation was at least 500 years and above. Otherwise, it was absolutely impossible to use 1 million profound energy to do such a thing. Perhaps he's not for Nirvana Realm. Dmo Xian's narrow peach blossom eyes squinted as a piercingly cold glint shot out from his eyes. Godless Island also intervened in this matter. Yi Qing Luo's expression turned grave. Indeed, she recalled everything that had happened in her mind. Yi Qing Luo could totally sense that she had been led by the nose from the start to the end. From entering the treasure-gathering pavilion to auction back the sky, essence, serene grass, until Xiao Yi was captured. Shi Shanglong then made use of Xiao Yi and Jin Zi to lure the both of them to discover the secret passage in the treasure-gathering pavilion. From there, they automatically entered the godless array which had been set long ago. Just for the sake of sending her to the 21st century? That person, who was he? Just as she was deep in thoughts, the man beside her suddenly pressed her wrist. Yi Qing Luo suddenly regained her senses as she looked up at him. The both of them stopped in their tracks. Dmo Xian was expressionless as his piercingly cold gaze went past Yi Qing Luo and swept towards the position behind her. Come out. 2 icy cold words, as though it was wrapped in frost. It was as if even the surrounding air had been frozen. The devouring array, which was leading the way, had a huge change in expression as it turned its head vigilantly and followed DMO Xian's line of sight. Who? Who is it? Have I been discovered? It frantically hid behind DMO Xian's back as it stuck its head out and looked left and right. The atmosphere froze for a moment. DMO Xian's palm moved. His purple robe rolled up a strong airflow. That imposing manner was like a roaring sea wave, whistling as it attacked towards a certain direction. Yiqing Luo was so shocked that she immediately hugged his arm. Ah Xian, in this place you can't recklessly use your profound energy. If we're discovered by the people in this world, we will be treated as monsters and brought to be researched. The moment the young lady hugged his arm, in an instant, the dense aura completely dissipated. DMO Xian's brows drooped as he gazed at the person leaning on his arm and smiled faintly. With this array, no one in this world can see us. Yiqing Luo was stunned for a moment and immediately let go of her hand. Oh, right. Then quickly use your profound qi to blast that tracker to death. The responsibility will be on me. She recalled herself and the DMO Xian who was transformed from the devouring array eye, standing at the entrance of the crowded street. Indeed, no one could see her. Wait. Since the people of this world couldn't see them, why were there still people following them? Could it be? Yiqing Luo's heart trembled. No way. There really were people who weren't from this world. At the next instance, Yiqing Luo had her answer. DMO Xian's profound qi fell into the haystack not far behind him. Then, a black figure dashed out of the haystack. Yiqing Luo saw it clearly. It was a strange man wearing black sportswear and a hoodie that covered his entire body and face. She just looked at him like this. Yiqing Luo could feel a strong aura encircling around him. This person was not simple. Who are you? DMO Xian narrowed his eyes as he sized him up. His voice was deep and cold. Chapter 1833. Towards his reply, Yiqing Luo didn't feel much. Her attention was all on the strange man, that pair of scarlet red eyes. She stared at the pair of red eyes in astonishment. After staring for a while, she said, "Your eyes, natural." The strange man answered calmly, as if he was already used to explaining the problems with his eyes. Natural red eyes? How could there be someone with such a strange eye color? However, not waiting for Yiqing Luo to continue asking the doubts in her heart, DMO Xian had already hugged her shoulders tightly, shoving her into his arms, and immediately looked at the strange man coldly. "You're not from Nirvana realm. Your aura—" He paused, as his brows creased slightly. "Godless Islands people?" "No." The strange man shook his head. "My name is Yu Ming, indeed. I'm considered to be from the same place as you." Purpose. DMO Xian didn't want to talk nonsense with him. Yu Ming looked at Yiqing Luo, who was nestled in DMO Xian's arms, peeking out her little head, blinking her charming eyes at him. He smiled as his red eyes faintly flashed a few red rays. "I want to cooperate with you." "Cooperate?" Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Just as she opened her mouth, the hand around her waist suddenly tightened. Yiqing Luo patted the back of his hand as she raised her eyes to look at the awkward, obviously jealous man. She was helpless as she pinched DMO Xian's hand again. She stared at Yu Ming, but it wasn't because she had taken a fancy to Yu Ming's face. She only felt that Yu Ming's pair of red eyes was a little strange. Moreover, in this world, in terms of looks, who could match DMO Xian's looks? Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand as she pinched his tight face, but her words were directed at Yu Ming, who says, "How do you want to cooperate with us?" "Bring me out of this plane." Yu Ming calmly stated his request. "I want to go back to our era." Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly. "You haven't even stated your exchange terms, and you've already raised your own request. Are you so confident that I'll be interested in your cooperation?" Yu Ming said indifferently, "I've been in this plane for 10 years. After a pause, his scarlet red eyes locked onto Yiqing Luo. "I discovered the hidden Yi family's ancestral tomb." Yiqing Luo's brows twitched. She knew from Yu Ming's gaze that he'd obviously recognized her. the reclusive Yi family. Before she transmigrated, he was the head of the reclusive Yi clan, the ancestral tomb. This was the reason why she was sent to the Nirvana realm. But she remembered that she had heard the old men of the reclusive Yi clan talk about it. The tomb of the Yi clan's ancestors hid too many disasters and secrets. Apart from the descendants of the Yi clan, no one else could find the tomb of their ancestor. It was also because of this that she had been deceived by that group of old men to go to her ancestor's tomb, open it, and obtain the azure dew bracelet. She had entered the tomb of her ancestors before. He naturally understood why the group of old men from the Yi clan placed so much importance on the ancestral tomb. Yuming was also interested in the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestors then. When Yuming knew that she was a descendant of the Yi clan, he would not let her go. Talking about the ancestral tomb, that was also asking for her help, because only she had the qualification to enter the ancestral tomb. Asking for her help to enter the ancestral tomb again. Asking her to bring him back to their era. Yiqing Luo really wanted to laugh at his face. He was indeed a red-eyed person. His face was really big. Chapter 1834. In the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestor, there is an azure water divine weapon. Yu Ming said word by word. Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly. Vast water god armament. Yes. Netherworld nodded firmly. I know you need the deep water divine artifact. This information in exchange for you taking me back to our time should be worth it. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she sized up Yu Ming's expression. Indeed, she needed the azure water divine tool. She had promised Old Man Song he would gather a complete set of azure water divine armaments as soon as possible. Although she had entered her ancestor's tomb before, she hadn't noticed anything other than the azure dew bracelet. As for whether or not there was an azure water divine artifact, she really wasn't too sure. Other than the Yi family, no one can enter the ancestral tomb. How did you know, and how did you ascertain that the Tsang Shui artifact is in the ancestral tomb? Yiqing Luo raised her doubts. To tell you the truth, I came to this plane for the vast water divine artifact. But right now, I want to leave this plane more than the azure water divine artifact. His eyes were sincere. It didn't sound like he was lying. She was silent for a moment as she glanced at the devouring array, which was trying its best to reduce its presence. Her eyes flashed slightly. But compared to the azure water divine artifact, I care more about my brother's life. Then she raised her voice and said, Little Formation Corps, continue to lead the way. Saying that, she held DMO Xian's hand and walked towards the direction of the devouring array's eye. The devouring Formation Corps panicked and was at a loss of what to do. Really want to leave, then he. Continue with your nonsense? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she looked at it with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. The devouring Formation Corps immediately covered its mouth and shook its head vigorously. Go, I'll lead the way. The three of them continued forward, with his back facing the netherworld. DMO Xian's lips curled upwards as he leaned close to her ear. Lil Luo has become crafty. Yiqing Luo rubbed her face against his shoulder as she gave a light laugh. Who is he? What kind of person is he? The motive of the cooperation and such. I don't even understand it. So why should I trust him? She really did need the vast water divine artifact. But now is not the time. Facing a netherworld with ulterior motives, even if she wanted it, she would not take it. Who knew if the netherworld was taking advantage of her identity as a descendant of a Yi clan? Once she took out the vast water divine weapon, wouldn't it be a loss if the netherworld snatched it away instead? Although, with DMO Xian around, this kind of situation would basically not happen. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. She didn't want to become a chess piece in someone else's hands. Most importantly, Xiao, Yi, and Jinzi were still fighting in an extremely dangerous plane. She had no more time to waste on the ancestral tombs. He had only taken a few steps. Yu Ming's figure flashed and appeared in front of the two of them. Miss Yi, your brother. Just as he asked, The devouring formation I had already told him about Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi's matters in a simple manner. In the end, he didn't forget to add, yes, yes, yes. You have to persuade this young lady. The battle plains over there are full of fighting prowess. Even if you rush over now, I'm afraid that your brother might already be dead. The word die had only just emitted a stream of air. The devouring array core was sent flying by Yi Qing Luo's kick. Miss Yi, what the array core said actually makes a lot of sense. Yu Ming nodded thoughtfully. Give me 10 minutes. If those two brothers of yours are still alive, I have a way to ensure their safety. Yi Qing Luo's eyes flashed as her slender fingers instinctively curled up tightly. She pursed her lips as her tone turned heavy. Give me a reason to believe you. Star. Chapter 1835. Yu Ming didn't open his mouth, but directly used his actions to show his sincerity. He flipped his palm, and a transparent screen floated above his palm. Following that, he raised his other hand and condensed his profound qi, covering the screen. A ray of profound qi encircled the screen. Not long after, an extremely illusory image that resembled a vast universe appeared on the screen. The entire screen was covered by that piece of black nothingness. Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she inched closer. What is this place? The plane where your two brothers are at. Yu Ming replied calmly. Yi Qing Luo's expression changed slightly as she quickly rushed to the screen. The image on the screen was clearly imprinted into Yi Qing Luo's eyes. In the pitch-black space of nothingness, there were some faintly discernible lights flickering within. She could faintly see the surrounding thousands of stars, sparkling with a weak light. The first feeling it gave Yi Qing Luo was, it was a space under the vast starry sky, tranquil and beautiful. But when Yi Qing Luo's vision was fixed on a certain spot on the screen, her heart was fiercely in pain. What tranquil, what beautiful. This was simply a massacre under the tranquil atmosphere. Fresh blood under the beautiful atmosphere. Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin. The both of them held their weapons in their hands, as they constantly fought against the various monsters which were surging towards them. Those monsters which were killed, no matter how they were killed, they could swiftly heal themselves, piecing together into a new, extremely strange, but even more powerful monster. Battle. Battle. This was the battle plane. Here, there was only this piece of beautiful nothingness space. Here, there were only one after another, continuously reviving and reassembling monsters. They only had one goal. Battle. To battle with the outsiders. To battle with the other monsters in the plane. Then to devour the other party's energy, to consolidate their own energy. In this plane, the battle would never stop. Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin's faces matched. Apparently, they had been battling for a long period of time. Yi Qing Luo could tell. If they continued to battle like this, these two people would soon run out of stamina. Her heart seemed to be pricked by needles. She pushed Yu Ming and turned her head. Her slightly reddened eyes stared fiercely at the formation. Send me to the battle plane immediately. Immediately. The eye of the devouring formation was shocked by the look in her eyes. It responded with a trembling voice. Just as she was about to lead the way, Netherworld's calm voice came. Miss Yi, you don't have to be so impatient. Calm down. Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes were filled with anger as she stared coldly at Yu Ming. When the person you care about is in the battle plane, will you show me how to calm down? Yu Ming was taken aback. He seemed to subconsciously replace Yu Nu with Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin. His heart suddenly tightened. If it was Netherwoman who entered the battle plane, he indeed wouldn't be able to calm down. Seeing Yu Ming's eyes filled with struggle, a glint flashed past Yi Qing Luo's eyes. It seemed that this fellow called Yu Ming really cared about someone in his heart. I have a way to keep them safe for now. Yu Ming looked at the two people supporting each other on the screen. So, you don't have to rush to the battle dimension. Temporarily safe? Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. What I want is not temporary. Chapter 1836. You weren't devoured by the godless spell formation, and you were even able to tame the spell formation core and send you to the battle plane. You can only say that you were lucky. Yuming solemnly looked at the devouring formation eye, which was hiding at the side. However, if you enter the battle dimension, you won't have the chance to transfer dimensions anymore. In other words, he couldn't possibly go to the battle dimension and bring in Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin to the 21st century dimension, because once he went there would be no chance for him to come back. Compared to the battle plane, without a doubt, he would be able to live longer if he chose the 21st century. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as she stared at the battle between the two people on the screen. She tried hard not to let her emotions show on her face. Yuming continued, "The vast water divine weapon only exists in the tomb of the Yi clan's ancestor in the 21st century. If you leave this plane, it means that you will never be able to collect a complete set of the vast water divine weapon." Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly. She could not refute Netherworld's words. She had promised Old Man Song that she would gather a set of blue water divine tools. Moreover, the vast water divine weapon was a special existence to her. Leave this plane. This also meant that the vast water divine weapon in the ancestral tomb would forever be sealed in the ancestral tomb. She couldn't help but praise this fellow called Netherworld. He was very smart and knew how to capture people's hearts. She wanted to use the Netherworld. Instead, he was led by the nose by the Netherworld. "How long is the temporary safety you mentioned?" A clear and elegant voice came from behind him. DMO Xian slowly walked to Yiqing Luo's side, his long arms wrapped around her tightly. The elegant sandalwood scent lingered around Yiqing Luo. She felt the familiar warmth of the man. Yiqing Luo's restless heart immediately calmed down. She looked up at the man's handsome chin and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Ah, Xian knows me best." DMO Xian lowered his gaze. Her peach blossom eyes sparkled with a dazzling charm. His thin lips curled up slightly, and his gaze seemed to be saying, "Of course, I understand, my woman." From the moment Yuming appeared, Yiqing Luo knew that this person was the owner of the profound qi fluctuation which she sensed from the wealthy district in the Century Garden. His strength might very well be above hers. She was a profound practitioner of the sky, profound realm. Netherworld's strength was above hers. Netherworld was definitely not someone from the Nirvana realm. He said that he had been in this plane for 10 years, but he knew her like the back of his hand. Towards Yuming's words, Yiqing Luo only believed 30% of it, and the reason why he was making a deal with the Netherworld here. It was to use the power of the Netherworld to save Yin, Xiao Yi, and Xiao Jin from that plane. However, Yuming was clearly unable to do so. It was impossible to tell if this was true or not. She didn't know. 3 days. Netherworld raised 3 fingers and replied calmly, "I can separate them from those monsters with the technology of the 21st century." Quarantine? 21st century technology? You can travel between planes? However, he can only be isolated for 3 days at most. Netherworld's voice was solemn. However, if the monster mutates, we might not be able to hold on for 2 days. If I can't be sure of my brother's safety, I can't be at ease and make plans for my own matters. Yiqing Luo rejected him without any hesitation. "What I want is my brother's 100% safety. Your uncertainty factor is unable to convince me." Yiqing Luo had already dispelled the idea of making use of the Netherworld. It was impossible for her to gamble with Xiao Jin and Xiao Yi's lives. Star. Chapter 1837. You really don't want a vast water god relic? Yuming frowned, seemingly unable to understand Yiqing Luo's thoughts. Yiqing Luo had already urged the devouring array eye to lead the way. Hearing Yuming's words, she turned her head and fixed her gaze on Yuming. "I want the vast aqua god relic, but I want my brother to live on peacefully." Her voice was calm, not mixed with any other emotions. Yuming was stunned. He pursed his lips and didn't speak again. Yiqing Luo turned around. "Let's go." What she needed to do now was to head to the battle dimension and rescue Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin. The so-called rules of the godless formation were merely rules set by the person who set up the formation. Since they were able to tame a formation, and travel to another plane, there would be a way to return to the 21st century from the battle plane. Saving his brother came first. The matter of gathering the deep water divine artifact could be thought of later. Yu Ming watched as the three of them left. The screen in his hand suddenly disappeared from his palm. He quickly caught up with her. "Miss Yi, I only have one goal, and that is to bring me back to our time. I believe that you have the ability to do so, and you're the only ones who can help me. How about this? I'll do my best to ensure that you and your brother will be completely unharmed for the next 3 days. Is that okay?" Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as she casted a sidelong glance at him. "Yu Ming, what do you have to make me believe you? You said that he would be unharmed for 3 days, but will he really be unharmed for 3 days?" Yu Ming's remaining words were all stuck in his throat, unable to rebuke Yiqing Luo's words. That's right. This was the first time he and Yiqing Luo met. On what basis did he ask Yiqing Luo to believe him? Yu Ming clenched his fists tightly, and he hesitated for a short while before he gnashed his teeth and said in the end, "I can give you this nether mirror. You can pay attention to the situation of those 2 brothers of yours at all times through the nether mirror." Nether mirror? She should be referring to the screen that just popped out of her palm. She did not expect that the netherworld would be willing to use the underworld mirror in exchange for her trust. He was really going all out. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed as she suddenly laughed. "But how would I know that the thing projected from your underworld mirror is an illusion which you created to confuse me?" She spread out her hands and shrugged helplessly. "Forgive me for not being able to fully trust you. After all, it concerns my 2 brothers. I can't allow any accidents to happen." Yu Ming's face stiffened. His scarlet eyes flashed with a red light. He had not expected Yiqing Luo to be so stubborn. For his brother, was he really willing to give up the chance to obtain the vast water divine artifact? One had to know that obtaining the vast water divine artifact would greatly improve her strength. Moreover, she had personally witnessed the brutality and slaughter in that battle dimension. If he went, he would most likely die. Why did she still choose to go to the battle plane without any hesitation? Was the so-called brotherhood really more important than their own interests? The netherworld could not understand such affection. He only knew that ever since he was born, he was the Venerable One's dog. He had companions who had grown up with him. However, because of his scarlet eyes, those people all thought of him as a monster. No one wanted to be close to him, except for Yu Ming. So he really didn't understand why Yiqing Luo would choose to sacrifice everything for the Brotherhood. Thinking of Yu Ming, Yu Ming's heart slowly sunk. He must hurry back to Nirvana Realm. He wanted to see Yu Ming so badly. If he didn't return, his Yu Ming would probably be snatched away by Yuhan. Chapter 1838. Missy, I'll tell you how to use the underworld mirror. You control the underworld mirror yourself, so I have no way to fake it. Yu Ming rushed forward again and blocked the path of the 3 of them. He fixed his gaze on Yiqing Luo's eyes. I really want to return to Nirvana Realm. There's someone waiting for me there. His gaze was very sincere. He was so sincere that it seemed as if there was indeed someone waiting for him. He had painstakingly wanted to go back to their era. It was all for that person. Lil Luo Dmo Xian spoke before Yiqing Luo opened her mouth. Since Mr. Yu is so sincere, let's agree to it. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo frowned. Just as she was about to say something, she felt a pain on her waist. Dmo Xian's hand pinched her waist. Her voice paused as she looked at Dmo Xian in puzzlement. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled up as he glanced at Yu Ming with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. The person waiting for Mr. Yu in Nirvana Realm should be a lady, right? Yu Ming lowered his head, as though he was a little shy. Yes. Dmo Xian's brows rose as he glanced sideways at Yiqing Luo, his slender fingers tapping on her forehead. Did you hear that? If you don't agree to Mr. Yu's request, isn't it breaking up a pair of lovers? Yes, whatever you say makes sense. Yiqing Luo didn't know what Dmo Xian was trying to do as she rolled her eyes. She didn't speak. She didn't express whether to agree or reject. When Yu Ming saw this, he flipped his palm and immediately presented the underworld mirror to Yi Qing Luo. This is the underworld mirror. As long as you cover the mirror with profound qi, you will be able to see what you want to see within a certain range. Within a certain range? Yi Qing Luo caught onto this word. How far does this range refer to? You mean, Xiao, Yi, and Xiaojin are actually not far away from me? This range refers to the range of the same parallel space. Netherworld explained, just like how we all came in through the soulless formation, we naturally belong to the same parallel space. We only need some simple information, and the Netherworld mirror will automatically search for it. The information that matches the user's plane of existence will appear on the mirror. So, it's like this. Yi Qing Luo nodded her head thoughtfully. I have already cleansed my own profound energy. I only need to inject your profound energy into it. Yu Ming said. Yi Qing Luo looked at Yu Ming suspiciously. The hand on her waist squeezed her again. She glared at him sideways and reached out to take the dark mirror. Try it. Dmo Xian's voice floated down from above. Yi Qing Luo imitated Yu Ming's earlier action as she placed her palm on the mirror. A stream of dark force immediately wrapped around the nether mirror. Immediately after, she felt an extremely strong resonance from the depths of her heart. A suction force pulled her hand firmly against the dark mirror. Before Yi Qing Luo could react, Dmo Xian suddenly held her waist tightly and placed his hand on the back of her hand, which was pressed against the mirror. The majestic, profound energy was like a hot knife through butter. The man's dark force was injected into her body. Yi Qing Luo only felt a scorching sensation on her palm. She could vaguely see Netherworld, who was beside her, shouting at her with a face full of resentment and anger. Yi Qing Luo couldn't hear the surrounding sounds. All he could hear was the sound of the strong wind whistling in his ears. Suddenly, Yi Qing Luo felt a surge of energy gushing into her heart. The next moment, Dmo Xian's palm moved away. The strong wind around him gradually calmed down. Chapter 1839. Miss Yi. Yu Ming's face was steely green as he bellowed furiously. After the whirlpool around Yi Qing Luo had dissipated, he strode towards Yi Qing Luo as he gritted his teeth and stretched out his hand to grab Yi Qing Luo's collar. But before he could get close to Yi Qing Luo, a ray of profound qi came towards him. Yu Ming's reaction was swift as he rolled on the ground, avoiding that profound qi attack. He stared fiercely at Dmo Xian. That fellow had a protective look on his face, as though saying, "You dare to bully my wife. I'll let you know why the flowers are red." Yu Ming knew how powerful Dmo Xian was. He could only suppress the rage in his heart as he tried his best to make his voice sound more peaceful. Don't you feel that you've gone too far? But no matter how he suppressed it, Yu Ming's tone was filled with viciousness which couldn't be concealed. Yi Qing Luo propped up her weak body as her brows creased as she took a look at her palm. She actually took the underworld mirror as her own. That's right, she took it as her own, just as she wanted to use her profound energy to activate the underworld mirror. Dmo Xian had already led her to contract the underworld mirror, which meant that this heaven-defying underworld mirror belonged to her now. It was impossible for Yu Ming to take it back, even if he wanted to. Realizing this, Yi Qing Luo was speechless. She had not expected that Dmo Xian's original plan was actually this. Her Xian had learnt bad things, deceiving Yu Ming in a serious manner as he passed the underworld mirror into her hands, and then robbing it on the spot as a matter of course. Towards this, Yi Qing Luo only wanted to say one sentence, "Beautifully done." Looking at Yu Ming's expression, which looked as though he had just eaten **T, Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but laughed out loud. This laugh completely infuriated Yu Ming. "You, Yi Qing Luo, that's mine." Yu Ming clenched his fists tightly as he bellowed in rage. The god relic which he had been relying on had been with him for a full 2 years. He hadn't even been able to contract the underworld mirror. Suddenly, the person whom he had schemed against contracted the underworld mirror which he had been longing for, and even forcefully took it as her own right in front of him. Who could tolerate that? Who would be able to endure such humiliation? Looking at Yu Ming's fiendish look, Yiqing Luo decisively chose to hug Dimo Xian's waist tightly as she blinked her innocent eyes. I also want to return it to you, but how should I return it? She tilted her head, vividly portraying the image of an ignorant young girl. Yu Ming held a breath in his throat, but he couldn't spit it out. That's right, we've already formed a contract. How can I return it? Even if they wanted to terminate the contract, they would have to wait for a year after the contract was established. Looking at Yiqing Luo's innocent smile, Yu Ming didn't feel that this young lady was innocent. The more he looked, the angrier he became. Prince Yu. Suddenly, Dimo Xian's sonorous voice was clear and mellow. Since you want to return to Nirvana Realm and reunite with your beloved woman, I'm afraid that just the benefit of the vast water god relic is far from enough. His thin lips were slightly raised, and his shimmering peach blossom eyes were like stars in the sky. He looked at the netherworld and smiled. That smile was peerless and unparalleled. However, Yu Ming sensed a terrifying threat coming from him. This kind of threatening feeling, even from revered, he didn't have such a strong feeling. Dimo Xian. Just how powerful was he? Chapter 1840. Netherworld lowered his head in silence. Dimo Xian continued to laugh. So, using the underworld mirror to exchange for your reunion with the woman you love, isn't it worth it? Lord of the Underworld opened his mouth, but found himself unable to refute. How could he have forgotten? When the two of them were put together, it was a combination that could kill people without paying with their lives. In order to lure Yiqing Luo to take the bait, he took the initiative to hand over the Ming Mirror. Today, Ming Mirror had already contracted with Yiqing Luo. He had connected to the Underworld Mirror, but there was no medium to contact the Venerable One anymore. If he didn't follow the two of them back to the Nirvana Realm, I'm afraid he really wouldn't have the chance to see Yu again. Thinking of this, Netherworld could only clench his teeth and swallow his resentment. It's worth it, as long as you can bring me back to the Nirvana Realm. Even if I have to pay with my life, it's worth it. The pressure in Dimo Xian's smile gradually dissipated. Yu Ming hadn't even caught his breath when he heard Yiqing Luo saying, Mr. Yu, there's no time to lose. Please immediately isolate my brothers from that group of monsters. Yu Ming almost spat out a mouthful of blood, forcefully forming a contract with his divine artifact. Now, she even wanted him to use his power to protect her brother. However, now that things had come to this, he could only obey. With a gloomy face, he gritted his teeth and said, First, bring out the situation of your brother's plane. How do I adjust it? Yiqing Luo flipped her palm, and the Ming Mirror appeared her palm. Yu Ming suppressed his anger and explained the steps in detail. Yiqing Luo's comprehension ability was extremely high. In just a moment, the situation of the battle plane was changed to the mirror plane. Yu Ming looked at where Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin were. He took out something that looked like a gun from his pocket. He aimed at the mirror and suddenly fired a shot. A silver light shot out from the muzzle. It shot straight into the dark mirror. Immediately following that, Yiqing Luo saw on the screen, Yin Xiao, Yi, and Xiao Jin's surroundings were enveloped by silver light. The silver light quickly formed an elevator-like space at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the surrounding monsters saw this, they all rushed towards the direction of the silver light. But before he could get close, the monster bounced off. Over the past 10 years, I've invited over 100 scientists to research this defensive barrier. It can't be broken by swords or spears. Even a profound practitioner like me can't break it. Yu Ming put the spear away. His face was still ashen. Originally, this was my secret weapon to protect myself. Now, I've given it to your brothers. You promised me. I hope you won't go back on your word. Yiqing Luo looked at the both of them, who were well protected by the protective cover, leaning against it to rest. Her heart, which was hanging in suspense, finally calmed down. Can this thing really last for 3 days? She asked again. Netherworld cast a sidelong glance at her. Before the launch, I had already activated the super protective mode. 3 days is definitely not a problem. The dark mirror is in your hands now. You can use it to check on the situation at any time. Yiqing Luo kept the mirror, then many thanks to you. 3 days should be enough. The food in Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin space pockets should be enough for them to last for 3 days. She lifted her eyes and fixed them on Yuming. All right, young master you can tell me your real motive now. Yuming's brows twitched as he met Yiqing Luo's chilly gaze. He went into a blank as he suppressed the panic in his heart. My motive is to return to Nirvana realm. I don't have the patience to beat around the bush with you. Yiqing Luo interrupted his words. Since you've already resolved the matter that I'm worried about, as long as your request doesn't touch my bottom line, I can satisfy you. Her lips curled as she said word by word. What do you want from the Yi family's late emperor's tomb? Star. Chapter 1841. Yuming licked his dry lips and wanted to quibble. Yuming, since you've done an investigation on me, you must be very clear about my character. Yiqing Luo interrupted him again with a smile. The smile in her eyes became colder. I'm not in the mood to play this kind of game with you. If you can't be frank with me, then. She paused. The coldness in her eyes intensified. I'll take back what I said earlier. Yuming was stunned. His scarlet eyes flashed with a burning red light. Take back what she said earlier that she would satisfy his request? Indeed, he had done an investigation on Yiqing Luo and knew her character well. Once she said to take it back, there was really no room to change it. Yuming sighed, took out a red brocade box from his pocket, and handed it to Yiqing Luo. I do have another purpose. Yiqing Luo raised her brows and took the brocade box. This brocade box looked like a proposal ring. She opened it with her fingertips and saw a marble-sized crystal ball lying in the brocade box. The sparkling flowing light was extremely dazzling. I hope you will bring this crystal ball with you when you enter the late emperor's tomb. Yuming said indifferently. What is this thing? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and looked at the crystal ball carefully. She had handled a lot of high technology when she went out on various missions. But really, she couldn't tell what material this crystal ball was made of. After a moment of silence, Yuming shook his head and said, I can only tell you that I do want something from the tomb of the late emperor, but I can't tell you what it is exactly. This crystal ball will help me find what I want. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. What if the target of this crystal ball is also the vast Aqua Divine relic? Or has other uses? The Lord beside, you should be able to tell. Yuming replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and looked at Di Emotion. She saw him nodding slightly. This crystal ball indeed didn't have any effect on Yiqing Luo to attack or harm her. I can guarantee that the thing I want is absolutely not the vast Aqua Divine relic. Even if I truly wanted the ocean water artifact, with you present, the ocean water artifact would choose you on its own. The connection between the descendant of a Yi clan and the Azure Divine weapon was not something an ordinary person could match. Snatch the Azure Water artifact from Yiqing Luo, there was no chance of victory at all. All right, I promise you. Yiqing Luo didn't hesitate any further as she placed the crystal ball back into the brocade box and placed it into the profound phoenix ring. She still maintained a skeptical attitude towards Yuming. This man, from the moment he appeared, he wanted to make use of her. Of course, she was also plotting against the Netherworld. Because of this, Yiqing Luo didn't feel any guilt for forcefully contracting the dark mirror, nor did she feel any awkwardness of becoming a robber. She would choose to accept the conditions of the Netherworld. It was all because he had protected Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi. Let's go. Hurry up and head to the late emperor's tomb first. Yiqing Luo urged, even though they had confirmed Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi's safety. She would still worry. He had to end the battle quickly and settle the matter at hand. Let's hurry to the combat plane. Only by personally protecting Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao could she truly feel ease. Plane change. Location. Combat plane time. Yin Xiao and Xiao Jin had just entered the god, less array 1 hour later. Chapter 1842. The black scythe blade in Yin Xiao Yi's hand was already stained with blood. Xiao Jin stood in front of Yin Xiao Yi to protect her, constantly releasing profound qi to push away the approaching monsters. Both of their faces were pale. Large beads of sweat flowed down their foreheads. The monsters here could not be killed at all. No matter how many monsters they killed, those monsters would reassemble and become another type of monster with higher attack power and stronger battle strength. Especially when the number of monsters killed in one go was too many. Those monsters would then stack together to form a new and powerful monster. In just a short hour, the strength of the two was almost exhausted. What the hell is this place? We clearly escaped into the secret passage. How did we suddenly appear in this place? Yin Xiao Yi said while panting. Xiao Jin did not answer. His vigilant eyes scanned the surroundings. All around him was a pitch-black void. Thousands of stars were faintly flickering, embellishing this pitch-black space with a little light. The surrounding monsters were torn apart and then reassembled again, except for the 10 monsters that had been besieging them. There were also countless monsters that covered the sky, constantly killing each other. The most shocking thing was when one of the monsters had finished killing the other monster, the monster's body started to tremble. Before the monster was about to reassemble, the victorious monster directly swallowed the broken limbs of the other monster into its own body, turning it into its own strength. This place, if I'm not wrong, this is a space plane very far away from the Nirvana realm called the battle plane. Xiao Jin pondered for a moment and finally gave an explanation. Battle plane. Yin Xiao used the black scythe blade to kill a monster that was charging over, and looked at Xiao Jin in shock. There's really such a place? The legend of the battle plane. She had only heard of it. No one had ever confirmed it. She did not expect that one day they would actually come to this legendary place called hell. The battle plane was a hell, an extremely painful hell that could only be truly released by death. In the battle plane, there was only continuous fighting, endless fighting until death, being swallowed by other monsters, was the true release. Otherwise, they could only fight with their lives on the line. Fight, killing blood. This was the true portrayal of the battle dimension. However, if one wanted to survive in the battle plane, they would have to be careful. They could only fight nonstop, devour the defeated monsters, absorb their power, and fight other monsters. Perhaps it had been devoured to a certain extent. Only then would he be able to truly escape from the battle dimension. However, neither Yin Xiao Yi nor Xiao Jin thought of devouring the defeated monster. This kind of devouring was too disgusting. Moreover, they were unwilling to accept that their bodies had been combined with those monsters. Just the thought of it made his scalp tingle. If they didn't devour them, they could only watch as the defeated monsters regrouped and attacked them again. This was truly hell. Yin Xiaoyi's face turned pale. Slut Jean, what should we do now? If this goes on, we'll sooner or later become a part of these monsters' bodies due to physical exhaustion. However, when she thought about it, it was very likely that she would be swallowed by those monsters. Yin Xiao Yi felt her stomach churn. Xiao Jin embraced Yin Xiao Yi's slightly trembling body. His eyes looked deeply into her eyes and said word by word, "No, I will definitely protect you. Star." Chapter 1843. I will definitely protect you. I will definitely protect you. Protect you. This sentence kept reverberating in Yin Xiao Yi's mind. She blinked her beautiful eyes and looked into Xiao Jin's eyes. There was a part of her heart that suddenly softened a little. With this sentence of his, with his strong arms hugging her, she didn't feel that those monsters around her were anything to be afraid of. There seemed to be a warm current in her heart that was spreading through her limbs and bones. He said that he would definitely protect her. With such a loving gaze, it was as if she was his entire world. He couldn't bear for her to be hurt in the slightest. However, Yin Xiao only dared to secretly think that in her heart. She knew that this man's protection towards her wasn't the kind of feeling she had imagined. However, she still felt sweet and moved. Yin Xiaoyi's gaze was as gentle as water, as if she wanted to melt Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin's heart trembled slightly as he suppressed the urge to hug the woman fiercely and looked away. Be careful. He threw out these two words as if to hide his inner thoughts. The gold coin dart in his hand once again flew towards the monster that was charging over. When he opened his eyes in a panic, he didn't notice Yin Xiaoyi's slightly pale face and the slight frown of pain between her brows. Yin Xiaoyi tried hard to control her breathing and try to make it as smooth as possible so that Xiao Jin wouldn't notice anything amiss. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as her eyes were filled with affection. She buried herself in Xiao Jin's embrace and hugged his waist tightly with both hands. She breathed in Xiao Jin's scent. Her heart seemed to be filled with something. In her eyes, there were no monsters, no empty space, no plane of battle. In her eyes, there was only Xiao Jin. Perhaps it was because she felt that her life was gradually fading away. Or perhaps it was because there was no result in this plane. The expression on Yin Xiaoyi's face became increasingly gentle. She looked up, her beautiful eyes gentle as she gazed at Xiao Jin's side profile. Suddenly, she chuckled softly. Xiao Jin's body froze when he heard her laughter. He kicked a monster away and took a few steps back with Yin Xiaoyi in his arms. The monster crashed into the other monster. They immediately engaged in a fierce battle. Xiao Jin hugged Yin Xiaoyi tightly and took an illusory step. He passed by the monsters and quickly headed towards the direction where there were fewer monsters. The footwork which he had learned from Yi Qing Luo, Xiao Jin displayed it to the fullest. The monsters did not even have time to react. The two people in front of him had already disappeared, went on chase. In the next instant, he was caught up by another monster. There was no place to hide in the void. No matter where he went, there were monsters. The two of them flashed in the void, carefully avoiding the monster's line of sight. Finally, he stopped at a relatively safe place. Although it was safe, it was also extremely dangerous. This was because they were close to where the two giant monsters were fighting. The two gigantic monsters had obviously devoured countless monsters to form such a huge body. As they fought, no monsters dared to approach them. The two of them avoided the monsters and hid not far from the battle. He could finally rest for a while. Xiao Jin panted lightly as he hugged the lady in his arms tightly and changed her into a comfortable position. What were you laughing at earlier? Yin Xiao, he didn't want Xiao Jin to see her pale face as she leaned her head on his shoulder and smiled sweetly. I was laughing at your earlier action. It was very handsome. Chapter 1844. So, those people can only be outsiders. Yin Xiao, he smiled lightly. In my eyes, you are very handsome. Perhaps because he was shy, Xiao Jin lowered his head and did not respond. His face was covered by Yin Xiaoyi's hair. It was faintly visible that his earlobe was dyed red. After a moment of silence, Yin Xiaoyi laughed softly. She rubbed her head against Xiao Jin's chest like a kitten. Her soft voice sounded ethereal. Slut Jin, when we were in the secret room, you heard what Shishang Lan and I said, right? The man's body stiffened. Yin Xiao, he clearly felt that the chest under her head had hardened a little. The smile on the face of the woman who buried her head in the man's chest dimmed a little. After a while, she laughed bitterly. She took a deep breath, as if to calm herself down. Her hands around his waist loosened slightly. Xiao Jin opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he did not have the words and did not know how to explain. In the next moment, he heard the woman's helpless voice drifting into his ears. I told Shishang Lan that I like you, and the person I love is you. The body of the man who was hugging her became more and more stiff. She raised her head and looked at the man's eyes with her clear and beautiful eyes. She raised her lips and smiled. Yes, Xiao Jin, I like you. I, Yin Xiaoyi, like you. Xiao Jin's expression gradually froze on his face. Yin Xiaoyi saw the shock and panic in his eyes. He really didn't like her. Even being liked by her, he felt annoyed. Yin Xiaoyi laughed in a low voice. Slut Jin, do you feel bad about dying with someone you hate? Xiao Jin tightened his arms and his eyes flickered. I don't hate you. Yin Xiaoyi smiled. Then do you like me? Xiao Jin's thin lips trembled as if he wanted to say something. In the end, he closed his mouth and did not give any answer. Yin Xiaoyi's bright smile gradually lost its light. She leaned her head on Xiao Jin's shoulder again. I know you don't want to hurt our brotherhood. Even if you don't say anything, I understand. It doesn't matter if you don't like me. It's enough that I like you. Anyway, at least at this time, the person by your side is me. Yin Xiaoyi's voice became increasingly ethereal. Xiao Jin's heart tightened when he heard this, as if there were thousands of silver needles fiercely stabbing into his heart. He wanted to hug Yin Xiaoyi tightly and kiss her lips. He wanted to use his own warmth to warm her somewhat cold body. Her smile? So painful. He wanted to drive away all her unhappiness. But he couldn't. In the end, Xiao Jin only hugged Yin Xiaoyi tightly and whispered in her ear, "We won't die. We definitely won't die. But Slut Jin, I no longer have the strength to fight." Yin Xiaoyi laughed lightly. Her breathing was light and shallow, as though she would stop breathing in the next moment. His body gradually turned cold. Her soft voice seemed to be interrupted at any time. Xiao Jin's pupils suddenly widened. He tightened his arms and lifted the face of the woman in his arms. "You're injured," as though to prove his words. Blood suddenly flowed out from the corner of Yin Xiaoyi's mouth. That blood was not an ordinary red. It was a kind of jet black. Xiao Jin's arms tightened. When did she get injured? Why didn't he sense it at all? No wonder. She who had always been proud would appear to be such a small woman. She was injured. In this battle plain, injured and powerless to fight. There was only one result. Chapter 1845. I'm fine. Yin Xiaoyi smiled. Black blood stained her pale lips. Her pair of clear and beautiful eyes were gradually covered by a layer of hazy mist. She wanted to raise her hand and caress Xiao Jin's face. But all her strength had long been exhausted. She clenched her fingers and finally gave up the thought of touching him. Xiao, don't speak. Don't speak first. I will bring you out of here. I will definitely bring you out of here. Xiao Jin looked at Yin Xiaoyi's pale face and lifeless eyes. The dull pain in the bottom of his heart twitched. Yin Xiaoyi smiled weakly. Slut Jin, before you talk big, look around you first. She sighed softly in her heart. Someone as stupid as Slut Jin. If she really died like this, with his intelligence, could he really leave this plane alive? He clearly knew that in the surroundings, other than fighting monsters, there were monsters that were assembling. He even made such a loud noise and caused such a huge commotion. One must know that the two of them were hiding not far from the two largest monsters. Xiao Jin's shout just now immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding monsters. Two enormous monsters surrounded the two of them. One of them raised its voice and let out a long howl. Countless monsters in the surroundings stopped fighting and rushed over. In a short while, the two of them were completely surrounded in the middle by the monsters. This is troublesome. Yin Xiaoyi sighed softly. No matter where it is, it's the law of the jungle. Look, even if it's a fighting plane, there's a strong that rules this plane. Xiao Jin's face darkened as he stared at the surroundings, at the ferocious-looking wild beasts, a cold and vicious air flowing in his eyes. Faintly, in this pitch-black space, flashing an almost undetectable golden light. Slut Jin, after I die, swallow me up. After all, I'm a human. If you swallow me, you'll at most swallow my power. You won't become a monster like them. Yin Xiaoyi panted lightly as she nestled in his arms and said softly, "What nonsense are you saying? Xiao Jin lowered his eyes and glared at her fiercely. I said before, I will protect you. Neither of us will die. Don't say such disheartening words to me. But you can't hold on any longer, can you? Yin Xiao, he looked at the sweat on his forehead. If you bring me along, I'll only be a burden to you. If you're alone, you might be able to leave alive. She took a deep breath and looked at Xiao Jin's face with some seriousness. Slut Jin, you don't like me anyway. Whether I live or die doesn't affect you much, does it? You put all your strength into your mouth? Can't you just shut up? Xiao Jin was agitated by Yin Xiao Yi's ear-piercing words. In your heart, I'm someone who would abandon my heart, my brothers, in order to live? Aren't you looking down on me too much? If we want to leave, let's leave together. If we want to live, let's live together. Yin Xiao Yi's hazy eyes flickered. She lowered her eyelids, her heart palpitating slightly. Abandon the heart. Heart of what? Is it the one I love? Not knowing why, in Yin Xiao Yi's mind, these four words actually surfaced, but if that was the case, why did he change his words in the end? Chapter 1846. Elemental Energy Pill, as the name suggested, was a pill used to recover elemental energy. After consuming it, it could instantly replenish one's physical strength and the supply of profound Jade Heart's profound energy. Xiao Jin held onto the gold coin dart in one hand, as he continuously stopped the monsters from getting closer. His other hand hugged onto Yin Xiao Yi's waist tightly. He couldn't free his hands. Yin Xiao Yi used all her strength to reach her hand into his embrace. Her slender fingers gently touched his muscular body. Through the thin, inner clothing, Yin Xiao Yi could clearly feel the touch of hard muscles on her palm. Yin Xiao Yi's hand froze, as her ears turned red. Xiao Jin's expression was rather strange. The lady's soft little hand was like a feather, gently teasing his heartstrings. The soft lady's body in his embrace. The lady's soft little hand on his chest kept on teasing. And it was his beloved woman. This kind of teasing, no matter which man, would not be able to take it. Xiao Jin's breathing hastened, as he suppressed the urge to squeeze down 3 inches, as he shouted, "Hurry up!" Yin Xiao Yi's hand froze. She pursed her lips tightly, and even though her face was dyed red, it was unable to conceal her pale complexion. He hated her that much? Even her touch, he hated it so much? Yin Xiao Yi's expression pierced Xiao Jin's eyes. His thin lips trembled, as though he wanted to say something, but when the words reached his mouth, his meaning changed. What are you still standing there for? Do you really want to die here? And this angry reprimand, in Yin Xiao Yi's ears, combined with his attitude, changed its meaning. He didn't like her and hated her. So, even in death, he wasn't willing to die together with her. He insisted on protecting her, saving her. But it was because they were brothers. This was because Devil Class and the World Group would not abandon any of them. Yin Xiao Yi's heart was in pain. The warm feeling that she thought was infallible earlier had completely disappeared. Finally, she touched the elemental energy pill. Eat it. Xiao Jin didn't want to see her hurt expression, as he said that in a low voice, as he pulled her into his embrace, not willing to see her expression anymore. Yin Xiao Yi pursed her pale lips. She looked at the elemental energy pill in her hand. There's only one. Eat it. I told you to eat, so eat. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Xiao Jin frowned. Was she aware of the current situation? The surrounding monsters had already surrounded them, and they simply did not have the time to choose or argue over who to give the elemental energy pill to. Yin Xiao Yi's hand that was holding the elemental energy pill stiffened. What I mean is, your battle strength is stronger than mine. I have enough stamina. I don't need this pill. Xiao Jin looked around warily at the restless monsters and tightened his grip on the girl in his arms. The sudden tightening of the waist caused Yin Xiao Yi's face to turn slightly pale. She raised her head and looked at the way Xiao Jin looked around. He placed the elemental energy pill into his mouth. Slut Jin. She suddenly spoke with the origin energy pill in her mouth. Xiao Jin's attention was focused on the surrounding monsters. When he heard Yin Xiao Yi's call, he turned to look at her. The next moment, his neck tightened. The woman hooked her arms around his neck. Then, the woman's lips, stained with blood, pressed against his lips. Yin Xiao Yi. Xiao Jin's lips were sealed by the woman, and he roared the woman's name indistinctly. His eyes widened. She was too reckless. Yin Xiao Yi closed her eyes and used the tip of her tongue to push the elemental energy pill into his mouth. She did not give Xiao Jin any chance to react. The elemental energy pill had already slid down Xiao Jin's throat. Chapter 1847. After the pill entered Xiao Jin's mouth, Yin Xiao Yi seemed to have exhausted all her energy and fell into Xiao Jin's arms. She panted lightly and smiled brightly. Slut Jin, you said you would protect me, so now you have to protect me. Xiao Jin's pupils constricted and his hands couldn't stop hugging the woman in his arms. Slut Jin, put me down. Yin Xiao Yi struggled lightly. Don't move. Xiao Jin frowned. The surrounding monsters couldn't take it anymore. I'm fine, I can still fight. Yin Xiao Yi frowned. I just wanted to test whether you have me in your heart. I lied to you on purpose. You. Xiao Jin's eyes darkened when he heard that, but he quickly looked at her suspiciously. Obviously, he didn't believe her. If I didn't do this, how would I get the truth out of you? Yin Xiao Yi rolled her eyes at him. If I really didn't have any energy, do you think you wouldn't resist when I put the pill in your mouth? Her explanation was indeed reasonable. Xiao Jin's gaze sized up Yin Xiao Yi. He realized that Yin Xiao Yi's spirit was indeed much better than before when she looked like she was about to die at any moment. If you really want to die here with me, I don't mind you hugging me to die together. Yin Xiao Yi raised her brows and revealed a teasing smile. You. Xiao Jin glared at her. His heart was both happy and angry. Happy that Yin Xiao Yi was fine. Angry that she dared to use her body to joke with him under such circumstances. What if these monsters went berserk? Did she really not take her own life seriously? Xiao Jin let go of Yin Xiao Yi's body. Don't try to be brave. If you can't do it, just hide by my side and don't leave me. Women can't say no. Yin Xiao Yi's brows curved into a teasing smile and immediately summoned the black sickle blade. Stop talking nonsense. The monsters won't give us any more time to rest. Yin Xiao Yi's spirited look made Xiao Jin completely relax. He who had consumed the pill. At this moment, the profound energy in his body was in a state of swelling and tumbling. Pinching 3 gold coin darts with his fingertips, he had already charged towards the direction of the monsters. He didn't notice. The moment he flew away, a figure appeared in front of him. The woman wielding the black scythe swayed slightly. His face, which was pretending to be calm, instantly turned as pale as paper. He did not look half as spirited as he was just now. It was indeed Qing Luo's medicinal pill. It was just that when it entered her mouth, there was a trace of taste. Can let her maintain a short spirit. Fortunately, he deceived Xiao Jin. She took a light breath and gripped the black scythe tightly. Using the strength of the black scythe, she supported her shaky body. Her gaze fell on the man who was fighting with the monster. She absolutely could not become Xiao Jin's burden. No matter what, she wanted Xiao Jin to live on. Yin Xiao Yi raised the black scythe blade and used the last of her willpower to join the battle to kill the monsters. Countless monsters attacked without any pause. Countless streams of blood spurted out. The monsters were torn apart and emitted a nauseating stench of blood. However, in the next instant, the pieces of flesh that had been torn apart reassembled into a new monster. No matter how he tried, he couldn't kill it. Just at this moment, Yin Xiao Yi's shoulder was scratched by a monster's sharp claw. She groaned in pain and quickly retreated a few steps. The black scythe blade suddenly stabbed into an empty surface. Chapter 1848. Xiao Yi. Xiao Jin noticed Yin Xiao Yi's situation and immediately rushed in her direction. But very quickly, he was blocked by the 2 huge beasts in front of him. These 2 beasts after a long time of fighting and devouring in the battle plane, already had their own consciousness. Beast's intuition was the most sensitive. They deeply felt the dangerous aura emanating from Xiao Jin. Naturally, they would not give him a chance to get close to the human woman. Kill one first, then the other. Xiao Jin was blocked and immediately became anxious. The attack in his hand also increased the killing intent in this instant. Yin Xiaoyi's delicate body swayed slightly, leaning against the black sickle blade, and stood up straight. The blood on her shoulder slid down along her arm. The blood fell on the black sickle blade. At this moment, Yin Xiaoyi was trying hard to maintain her consciousness and did not realize that when her blood seeped into the black sickle blade, the black sickle blade faintly flashed a hint of black light. In a flash, Yin Xiaoyi's blood was sucked into the black sickle blade. In another flash, it sucked in blood again. Gradually, as the blood was sucked in, the black sickle blade suddenly burst out with a strong black light. Like a gloomy death aura, it shrouded the black sickle blade. That light projected a strong aura of hostility and despair. It penetrated the entire space of nothingness. Those monsters who originally wanted to rush forward and devour Yin Xiaoyi when she could not fight. The moment they got close to Yin Xiaoyi, they were sent flying by the black aura around Yin Xiaoyi. Wherever the black aura went, the weather changed in an instant. The monsters that were sent flying were instantly torn to pieces by the black aura. What was even more terrifying was the monsters that were torn to pieces by the black aura were actually wrapped by the black aura. In an instant, the shattered remains of the monsters had already disappeared in the space. The black aura was devouring the monsters. Yin Xiaoyi also felt the black sickle blade in her palm stirring. She took a deep breath and raised her eyes to look at the black sickle blade in her hand that was emitting an extremely strong death aura. She could clearly feel that the aura of the black sickle blade was getting stronger. Yin Xiaoyi's pupil shrank slightly. The black sickle blade actually evolved into a legendary weapon, just one step away from becoming a divine weapon. What was going on? Could it be the black sickle blade's consciousness of protecting its master? Moreover, the black sickle blade could devour those monsters. Does this mean that they don't have to deal with a monster's constant recombination? This knowledge caused joy to surface in Yin Xiaoyi's eyes. She gripped the black sickle blade tightly as she silently cheered herself on. You can definitely do it. You must let Xiao Jin live on, at least. At least hang on till Qing Luo comes to save Xiao Jin. He swung the black scythe at the monster. With a flash of black light, the entire group of monsters was swallowed by the black light. This kind of battle immediately attracted even more monsters, who pounced at them. Xiao Jin looked at the beast that kept charging at him, as well as the two huge beasts. He kept dodging. The coin dart in his hand was also constantly cutting down other monsters. But it was obvious that he was tired. Seeing this, the two huge beasts immediately ordered more monsters to chase after Xiao Jin. He wanted to take down Xiao Jin when he had lost his strength. Over 100 monsters surrounded Xiao Jin. Inside and outside, there were at least 3 layers of people. On Xiao Jin's ordinary face, there wasn't even a single bit of frightened expression. His eyes suddenly flashed past a biting cold glint. Following that, with a leap, he broke through hundreds of monsters, leaping up. Star. Chapter 1849. His slender fingers were holding 10 gold coin darts. The flames all over Xiao Jin's body suddenly soared at this moment. That invisible, enormous power was breathtaking, unable to look directly at it. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A few sounds pierced through the air. Those 10 gold coin darts merged with chi. In a split second, rushed into the hundreds of monsters. Bang, bang, bang. Roar, roar, roar. Awoo, awoo. Deafening screams suddenly resounded throughout the entire space. Those hundreds of monsters, in an instant, were torn into pieces by the 10 gold coin darts. Not a single one was left alive. At the same time, a black scythe blade, emitting the aura of death, pierced through the air. The black scythe blade floated among the thousands of monster limbs. The majestic aura of death immediately enveloped all the wreckage around it. Xiao Jin scurried out of the black scythe blade's aura of death, a relaxed smile on his face. He raised his eyebrows in Yin Xiao Yi's direction. This tacit understanding is amazing. The two huge monsters roared angrily a few times. They finally understood that Xiao Jin had deliberately pretended to be physically weak just now, and then lured them all to surround him, and then killed them in one go, and then used Yin Xiao Yi's black scythe blade to completely devour those hundreds of monsters. Not only did it save their energy, it also made the black scythe blade's power continuously increase. Shameless humans. They must devour these two humans. The huge eyes of the huge monsters shot out a beam of furious light. Yin Xiao looked at Xiao Jin's smiling face, and she wanted to return a smile. But when she threw the black scythe blade over, she had already exhausted all her strength. And without the support of the black scythe blade, Yin Xiao Yi's entire body was powerless, and she half knelt on the ground. Xiao Jin's pupils suddenly constricted, and the expression on his face was full of panic. The two huge monsters also saw Yin Xiao Yi's current situation and immediately summoned ordinary monsters to attack Yin Xiao Yi. More than 10 monsters surrounded Yin Xiao Yi. After the black scythe blade devoured those wreckage, it immediately rushed back to its owner's side. But even though the black scythe blade's power had increased, Yin Xiao Yi still had no strength to fight. And at this moment, there were still 2 monsters attacking Yin Xiao Yi from behind. Sharp claws, sharp fangs, flickering with a cold light, seeing that it was about to pierce into Yin Xiao Yi's back. Xiao Jin gave a heart-wrenching roar as he rushed towards Yin Xiao Yi's direction. Hearing this voice, Yin Xiao Yi knew that she was definitely in danger. Yin Xiao Yi took a deep breath and gripped the black scythe tightly. His body followed closely behind, and he dodged to the side. The sharp claws scratched Yin Xiao Yi's arm. Blood flowed out and dyed Xiao Jin's eyes red. Xiao Jin roared and stretched out his hand to stop Yin Xiao Yi's falling body. Xiao Yi, are you all right? Xiao Jin carefully stared at Yin Xiao Yi, his eyes filled with worry. Yin Xiao Yi shook her head and relied on the strength of the black scythe to maintain her standing posture. I'm fine. How do you look like you're fine? Xiao Jin stretched out his hand and caressed Yin Xiao Yi's face. Yin Xiao Yi shrunk back a little. I'm really fine. Don't forget, before we came in, we even took the 100 antidote pill that Xiao Yi refined. Apart from detoxifying effects, the 100 antidote pill also has the effect of nourishing the body. She smiled faintly and spoke very seriously. Xiao Jin frowned. Why had he never heard that the 100 antidote pill had the effect of nourishing the body? But they already didn't have time to think. Chapter 1850. If you can't hold on, hold me tight. You can climb on my back at any time. Xiao Jin said in a low voice and began to rush into the monster hunt. Yin Xiao Yi's face was pale. She looked at the black scythe in her hand and slowly closed her eyes. The 100 solution pill indeed did not have that effect. What she said was a lie to Xiao Jin. At this time, if she did not let Xiao Jin relax, Xiao Jin would be distracted by her, and both of them would die in a monster horde. Her only way now was to combine her and the black scythe into one. To let the black scythe use this body of hers to fight. A gust of deathly air shot out from the black scythe. That deathly air, in a split second, followed Yin Xiao Yi's hand and spread throughout her entire body. When Xiao Jin noticed the change in the woman's aura behind him and turned around, Yin Xiao Yi had already combined with the black scythe. Her beautiful eyes in the pitch-black void were extremely dazzling. As her eyes moved, the deathly air flowed. That originally extremely beautiful face was now even more exquisite. Her temperament also underwent an earth-shattering change at this moment. If the previous Yin Xiao, he was like a mischievous and adorable girl, Then the current Yin Xiao Yi was like the night god who blended into the night, and also like a Rakshasa from hell. Her entire body was filled with a frighteningly cold aura. Xiao Yi. Xiao Jin's expression changed slightly, not understanding Yin Xiao Yi's sudden change. Shut up. The clear voice was sinister and cold. Take care of yourself, don't drag me down. This was indeed Yin Xiao Yi's voice, and he had seen this voice coming from Yin Xiao Yi's mouth with his own eyes. But this tone, these words, it did not sound like something Yin Xiao Yi would say. He was full of questions, but Yin Xiao Yi did not give him time to answer them. Yin Xiao Yi had already grasped the black scythe tightly and started a frenzied massacre. Xiao Jin was speechless and could only cooperate. The two fought side by side and gave their backs to each other. Even Xiao Jin was extremely curious about Yin Xiao Yi's current change. But such a change did not affect the tacit understanding between the two. The cooperation of the two, the brutal massacre. There was no end to it. This battle was incomparably fierce, and the time limit was extremely long. In the chaotic battle, no matter how strong the two of them were, it was inevitable that they would be injured. The movements of the two of them gradually slowed down. Yin Xiao Yi put her body and mind under the control of the black sickle blade. However, this method could not last for too long. After a long time, the two of them were covered in scattered scars. The sight of human blood made the monsters howl even louder. More and more monsters appeared around them. Yin Xiao Yi and Xiao Jin kept thinking of ways to break through the monsters and attack the two huge monsters. As long as he killed those two monsters, he would be able to kill them. These monsters would definitely worship them as kings. However, they couldn't get close at all. The two huge monsters were protected by the tens of thousands of monsters. Death was like a rock, pressing down on their hearts. The black sickle blade knew its master's thoughts. If it didn't protect Xiao Jin until he ran out of energy, then Xiao Jin would be safe. She must not fall. Xiao Jin had the same thoughts. He must ensure Yin Xiao Yi's safety. Both of them were forcing themselves to hold on. In the battle, the black sickle blade constantly devoured the monsters to replenish its strength. Suddenly, the huge monster that had been wandering around the periphery, unknowingly, it had already rushed into the group of monsters, quietly attacking Yin Xiao Yi's back. Start your tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.